Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the Town Board meeting of June 3rd, 2025. If we could all stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. And Howard, since you have your flag and your flag bag, why don't you lead us?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
If we could have a moment of silence, if you remain standing, as we think about those in Boulder, Colorado, who were senselessly attacked in this act of terrorism. We pray for them, their families, and we pray for a day that we won't be here talking about things like this. Thank you. We'll go with introductions, starting on my right.
Good evening, Diana Quast, Town Clerk.
Good evening, Luciana Howitt, Councilwoman.
Supervisor Ed Lachterman.
Sergio Esposito, Deputy Supervisor.
Good evening, Patrick Murphy, Town Council.
Susan Siegel, Councilwoman.
Adam Rodriguez, Town Attorney.
All right. Reports for the town officials. Well, for me first, Supervisor. I just want to spend a couple minutes as we be coming up on the 81st anniversary of D-Day and Operation Overlord. This weekend, I had the privilege of being a guardian on the honor flight. My wife and I went down. We had 3 Yorktown residents as our veterans that we went through the different memorials with and spent the day with, and it was just an absolute amazing day. We don't always we didn't always show the recognition, especially to our Vietnam veterans, as what they deserve, and as we go through life. And it's something that watching those that were affected by this, one of the veterans that I went with, who I've become friends with over the years since meeting him, seeing the reaction, seeing tears. It just makes you realize how special a day like that is. And going to the wall, the Vietnam Wall, watching them etch the names of those friends that they lost in battle, just added to that solemn moment. Thank you. Yeah, just it's a very emotional time, and I just want to say how much that was in my heart, how much that meant, and I want to thank all of our veterans for their service, and and a special prayer for those that didn't make it back, as we just passed Memorial Day as well. So thank you.
Amen.
We'll start with Susan.
Susan?
No, go ahead, you first.
No, you can go ahead.
Well, I've got several comments, so.
Go ahead.
Okay.
Yep.
All right. I have 4 comments on different topics, and I'll try to keep them brief. On the subject of errors in the 2025 budget, Ed, at our last meeting, you said that you were going to look into the issue of whether the assessed value number that was in the budget was wrong. The wrong number was used to calculate the tax rate increase, and could you update us on what you've discovered?
So the number is a fluid number according to...
I'm sorry,
The number is a fluid number according to our assessor, meaning that we could post the assessment and then something comes through like a certiorari, and that changes the number. So the number that we report when we do the budget is the number that they use because of consistency in the budget. The changes that come after that they do affect that number, and it could affect either way. This year there was a large effect because of the mall coming off of a certiorari. So that is where we had an $800,000 difference. There wasn't an error in the calculation for the budget. The error, quote unquote, but because it's not really an error, the change was because of the certiorari's that affected the overall tax levy. But when we set the budget is done. according to the levy. And then when the levy was finally posted in, or not, the assessment had the April assessment right before taxes went out, that is where the change was.
But I don't have the budget with me. I think it's in the very beginning portion of the budget, and it says that this budget uses the September 15th, 2024 assessment figure that the assessor files with the state. That should have been the number used in the budget.
I believe that was the
No,
number.
it wasn't.
Okay.
The number that was used was from March 15th, 2024, which did not reflect the JV Mall, the loss of $1.1 million, which happened a month later. By September, when the town was putting together its budget, it had the more accurate number as of budget time, which was roughly $800,000 less, and it did not use that number, which it knew it had, because that was the number that was filed with the state. Okay, and then there were some minor changes that happened from September through into March, with some changes in exemptions and the SCAR reports. So what the budget book says, and it specifically says that, is that this budget uses the September number, when in fact they used the previous March number. That was the
Did you
error.
see the September number? Did you see the September number?
I didn't see that,
Oh,
but
so you're assuming that it wasn't the
oh,
number
well, I
that
know
they-
what the September. Yes, the September.
that-
Lower it down.
Sorry,
That's-
the September number is in the assessment report, the June assessment roll that's on. If you look at the very last page, when somebody looks at the assessment roll, and it's like 400 pages or something like that, the very end of it, which I think is dated September 13th or 14th of 24, says that has the number that was used. So that number was known to the town. It was there in June when the assessment roll was filed, and it was the same number that was filed officially on September 15th. So that's the number that should have been used, because it says in the budget book that we use, when we're doing this budget, we use the September number. We don't go back to the previous March.
Well, I had gone to the assessor. I will talk to Janelle and ask her if there was an error used in that number. She and I have not been in together other than one day.
Well, those were the pages that I showed 2 weeks ago. The number from the assessment roll in June, the number from the 2024 tax rate, which showed the March 24 assessment roll number, which is the
Susan,
number that was used.
Okay,
So I just
Okay.
want to make sure that my notes are fluid with what you're saying. So we know it's a fluid number, because obviously the budget gets passed and time does keep going on. Like, people have savings accounts as of March 1st, and it looks a lot different as of, March 31st. But what you're saying is the number that it started with, instead of it being the September number, was the March number.
The previous March.
Right, but where it ends up being, right, if you go on and see what's filed, because it is all on these documents, like the assessments are filed, right? Like, I can go into the assessor's filings that he files with the state, right?
Which is
They're
the
all
Septem-
public,
the
right? So
September
it might
filing.
not be in the budget paperwork, but it's still there. So I just want to make sure, you're just saying that the start number just happens to be the March before instead of the September, as it states in the book.
And it's $798,000 difference.
Okay,
And that
great,
made the
but-
difference from a tax rate of 6.6 to 7.4, which it should have been if the correct tax number was.
Correct,
if
but
the
when I
excess number
do
was used.
taxes for my business, I pull them quarterly and I pull my 941, so we have to do that also for the town, right? And whatever was filed with the state is what you're saying is.
Was not used. The number that was filed with the state that should have been used in the budget calculation was not used.
But that doesn't mean that we don't have that number.
Thank you, Susan. Go on, Susan. I
All
have
right, let's
that.
go on.
couple more
The second item.
So just have to ask her where the number
The
came
second subject is subject of the improvements to Route 118 Underhill Avenue intersection that were discussed two meetings ago. And I'd like to follow up on comments that you made, Sergio. You said that there were 3 phases to the improvements, and that the pedestrian crosswalks were in phase 2. But then you also added, and I've listened to this tape twice, you said, we have to check to make sure that the comments were 100% correct. That's
That's correct. I said I believe. I kept qualifying myself. I think I even used that word, but you left that out.
Oh, yeah,
as
y-
you're
yes,
talking
you,
about it.
you,
Yeah.
you,
Surprisingly.
you
Go ahead.
qualified it. So I don't know if you had time to check, but I did because what you were saying didn't jive with my memory of having been at all those meetings when the traffic study was done. So I looked up and I went through town records, and this is what I found. In 2022, when they started the first review of Underhill Farms, the Underhill Farms traffic consultant did identify a series of improvements that were going to be done in phases. But over the year that the planning board reviewed the documents, okay, it became clear that the planning board said, no way, we're not doing that phased approach. We want the major part of the improvements done as we approve this development. And that's what happened in 2023 when the planning board approved the document with the support of the developer and with the approval of the DOT that said there were going to be 4 pedestrian crosswalks, right? And that's all in the history, and here are the documents from minutes of the planning board meetings, from traffic study reports. It's all in the documents, okay? So I think what this boils down to is that in 2023, when Underhill Farms was approved, the developer, the town board, and the DOT were all on the same page. They wanted 4 crosswalks. The 4 crosswalks were in the first time the town bid for the documents, okay? When the town wasn't happy with the first bids because the price came in very high, they modified the bid specs and made the 4 crosswalks optional. So it's not up to the DOT to approve this, it's the town board that changed the requirements from the planning board that the developer and the DOT had accepted. So that is the way it worked out. And now the town board has awarded the bids for the improvements that only have the 2 crosswalks and not the 4 crosswalks.
Actually, Susan, we have not, because if you were listening, everything is subject to DOT, as we spoke about. What we are doing, though, is getting started with the traffic light, because that's something that has to be ordered and something that has to be done.
I'm not questioning that, but it also, in one of the documents, it says that the site plan could not have been signed officially by the planning board until they had DOT approval of the plan. And that approved plan had 4 crosswalks. So the DOT supported the 4 crosswalks. It's the town board that changed.
No, Susan, the developer has asked DOT if they would change that. And I believe that planning was involved in the conversation, at least from our planning department through everything. Thank you, Susan. I can see your notes.
It's not my notes, it's the planning,
But you're
board's
holding
notes.
them up. I see what you're holding up. So,
All right, that's on that one.
There's also been like 3 billion meetings of that
Didn't
after
DOT
that
said that
2023,
it's
but that's
excessive?
okay.
Okay,
there was a feeling of that. Look, my biggest thing, and I stated it 100 times, is I want that road widened. I want the safety. I want to make sure we could open it up, because I can't tell you, and I think Lorraine's in the back, I'm sure she has heard more than I have of them, how many times I hear an accident right up here that I go out to, and they're serious accidents, and someone's going to lose their life there. So I will get done what we could get done to open that road up and make it safer, and I will keep the safety of all of our residents in mind as we get there.
I support that, and I'm not questioning that the improvements had to be done. I'm not questioning that the town board approved the bid. I'm just setting the record straight about how it got changed from 4 pedestrian crosswalks to 2 pedestrian crosswalks. And there was no such thing as the phases, which is what you were talking about last week. And you said, I have to check to make sure it's
All right,
correct.
thank you.
And so
Susan,
I
what's your
checked.
next?
My next item has to do with the consolidation of the 11 Peekskill sewer districts. And I just want to share with all of you an update on what's been happening. My plan originally, and the plan that the town was working on since basically it started in 2023, was to consolidate all of the 11 separate districts into one consolidated Peekskill O&M operation and maintenance district, and have all the expenses paid that way in a fair way across all 4,100 taxpayers. creating the district, which this town board has said it doesn't want to do, does not necessarily mean a tax. Just because you create a district, it's there on paper, but it doesn't mean it has to be a tax. But it's there if the town wants to do it. You could pay for the O&M expenses with a tax, with a surcharge on the water bill, or a combination of a tax and a surcharge. That's the way we pay for our water. If you ever look at your water bill, you'll see that we have a water tax and then we pay by consumption. I'm bringing this up again because it's my understanding that this town board has decided, I shouldn't say the town board has decided, some of the members have decided that they only want to go on a water consumption charge. If you look at your water bill and it says you use 20,000 gallons, some people now pay a surcharge for sewer. They pay it at a lower rate at $1.50 per 1,000 gallons. This town board has already come up with a number of what they anticipate that charge will be, and it will be charged to all 4,100 taxpayers.
Susan, may I correct the record for you?
Go ahead.
The town board has said nothing.
No,
Zero.
I
Okay.
corrected.
Zero.
No,
I
hold,
corrected it. I
no,
corrected
you
myself.
haven't corrected, because you said the town board has set a rate. The town board has not set a rate. I have instructed our engineer to do the math, run the numbers, and see what it would cost. Because my feeling, and I don't know if the room will agree with me or not, is we don't need another tax. And I know you're saying, well, we don't necessarily have to tax. But if you want, you were talking about a fair way of assessing the water use, which is usage. So I would like Dan to run those numbers, as I've spoken to him about, come up with a number. The town board has nothing to do with that. You're a legislative branch. I happen to sit on the legislative branch, but I am the town executive, and I want to know this, but I do not want to set a taxing district that, oh, we don't have to tax today, that somewhere down the line, someone who is like, hey, tax and spend, tax and spend, tax and spend, goes and taxes it. I don't want another tax. As a matter of fact, my goal is once we get a water rate tax in there for the Peekskill District, a water rate usage for the Peekskill District, is to eliminate the taxing districts that are there, so we're not taxing the people. I do not think it's appropriate. You and I have had the conversation. I have told you I've tasked Dan with it. I have told you that it takes a little more time, but you want to come here and it's almost like oh, the town board's doing this. No, the town board's not. It's me. If you want to direct it at me, that's fine. I will be more than happy to give you my justifications in public, as well as I have when you've questioned it. But I really wish we would stop wasting people's times with you're trying to have an I got you moment. There's no I got you. Any decision I make, I will give you my reasoning and why I'm doing it. And I am not, once again, I am not going to tax people where we're overtaxed already. So you could ask me to put that on. I'll put it on and let it get defeated because I think the rest of the town board feels the same way about the taxes, but I am not going to set up another tax.
I believe,
All right,
I believe
okay.
my comments were that I felt that it would be more fair, and I believe I brought up the example of snowbirds, our elderly who flock, let's say, to Florida, and have little to no usage. Why should they be pay more than what their consumption of water is? I also believe I use an example of a family whose sons and daughters graduate college. In fact, it's going on in my life right now, and my son's graduating high school, and he'll still be home, but at some point he'll graduate college, and I'll go from having 5 people in my house, my son, both my sons and my daughter, to having maybe 2. And so I don't believe it would be fair. What's the problem with paying for what you use? Hold on a second.
Well, all right.
And I don't know how you correlated that into me already making a decision, because you tend to constantly do this, and you tend to constantly put words in people's mouths. I'm still waiting for an answer that I posed to you at the last meeting as to when I had this secret meeting about water. You still haven't answered that question. I'm still waiting. And the reason why you haven't answered that question is because you were untruthful. That's why you cannot answer the question.
All right, let's just get this straight. I corrected.
let's.
I corrected my statement when I started it, and I say it's not the town board has not decided. But every indication that I get is that it's going to be a water consumption, so based on a water charge. So what I did is I sent every town board member a list of 10 questions. Have you analyzed each of these items to see what the impact would be if you go to a water consumption? For example, if you're going to charge people on the water, a portion of their taxes that they're currently paying for in sewer tax will be eliminated. So you're going to increase your water consumption bill, your water bill, but you might be decreasing. You're going to be decreasing
You might
your
not
sewer.
necessarily
hold
increase your
on.
water
But it's-
consumption
and
bill,
it's-
depending on the amount of people that live in your
Just-
house and the
just-
time of
Susan,
year that
Susan, when Dan has the numbers, you're putting the cart before the
No,
horse.
what I'm saying.
When Dan has the numbers, we will do a work session. I don't understand why you don't want the professionals to do their work. They have to do their work.
And what I am saying is, if you look at the 10 questions I asked, for example, okay, there's 2,600 users who are currently paying $58 a year, $58 a year in a tax. If they are not paying on a water consumption base now. I just looked because I have access to water consumption records, and I looked at some spot houses, what they would do, because I saw their consumption in 2024. They could be paying over $200 a year in a sewer surcharge. They won't have $58, but they'll have $200 or more, depending upon their usage.
Where'd you get 200 though as the base? Where did the number 200
Based
come
on
from?
usage.
Because I looked at their usage, their usage is online. You could look at that number.
Right, but Susan, the whole point.
Can I just
was-
finish? Because
Go.
there were other questions so that was one example. That's somebody who is going to get hurt. Here's another question. The current number that they're talking about is based on this year's O&M costs. What happens? I think O&M costs will go up next year. I think we all have to reluctantly agree that costs will go up. So will the usage charge have to go up? What happens when people see how much they're paying now on their water bill, because they're now also going to be paying for sewers? They'll say, hey, you can't stay in the shower for 20 minutes. It's going to be a 5-minute shower. Or I'm not going to run the dishwasher when it's only half empty, and I'm going to cut my water consumption. That's one of the values of being conscious, whether it's electricity or water. You cut your consumption. If they're going to cut their consumption, that's going to cut the revenue. So how do we deal with that? How do we deal with, we have two portions in the Peekskill system, the Farmbrook Pump Station and the Hunterbrook Station, both have critical problems that need to be upgraded. We don't know yet what it's going to cost, but it's going to be expensive. Well, who's going to pay for that? And will that water consumption rate, will that cover it? What happens? How are we going to finance that? And who is going to pay for that? These were just before you make a decision. And you may want to go. You may
Susan, we
want
will
to
have
go.
a work session before we make any decision, which is my whole point, that you put the cart in front of the horse. But let me.
Well, then I would
let me
like
just-
to have those questions
let
answered
me-
by staff, because all it is
work-
number crunching.
Yes.
And
Susan, I have some priorities like I that I have going on, and some other things, and Halleck's Mills Sewer. I'm throwing a lot at them, and I'm thinking about maybe we need to talk about bringing in an engineering firm for some of these things. But I'll just address one of them. You're saying there are 200 homes that are paying $58, or 200 accounts that are paying $58.
in one sewer district with 2,600 users, all right, they are now being taxed $58 a year.
Okay, and if and you're worried about people cutting their costs, cutting their water, which will affect revenue, absolutely. But what if one of those is a commercial account, like a restaurant, where they're pouring water down the drain at $58 a shot?
No, that's
Of
not.
$58
They're
a
not
year.
the 58. And those people, have you thought about the impact on businesses? Because
Yes, I have,
it's gonna-
Susan. But
the
I've
rate's
run.
gonna double.
Conservative, we need to
I've,
tax
I've
them
run. I've run businesses, and yes, you have to have you pay for your utilities.
Yeah.
So it's a cost of business. I
Okay.
have it in all of my businesses.
And there will be people whose costs will go down because right now they're paying, however they're paying for their water, it's being taxed. The taxes, you just said yourself earlier, the taxes are going to come off.
Yes.
And so if they don't use as much water, maybe they're
Equalization.
saving money. So,
That's
how
what-
do you handle that?
But
It's
the
not
questions
clear-
are being
hold on,
looked
hold on.
at,
It's
Susan.
not-
It's
not-
questions
hold
to
on
be
a second,
looked at.
please.
That's what
Hold
I'm
on a
asking.
second, please. Hold on a second, please. It's not a clear-cut path forward on this. There are going to be pluses and minuses whether we go down the taxing avenue or the water consumption avenue. That's why the supervisor has asked Dan to kind of analyze it and come back to us. Nobody has made a decision. You made that up. Nobody has already decided. Okay? We are looking into we're analyzing it, and maybe you could get Dan to answer some of your questions, and that would be great. That would satisfy you as well. But we're nowhere near the finish line on this. You introduced it as if we already have everything set. That's it. Boom, boom,
There's a
boom.
motion on the table.
Get
Yeah,
the
there's not.
resolution. Let's just pass it right now.
I didn't.
What about your,
no,
what
I-
about your fourth issue?
I did not get any response when I raised the 10 questions, and that's what I'm asking. I'm saying before we make a decision as a board, we need to analyze.
All right,
made a
all right,
decision.
Susan,
I
Susan,
was-
I'd like to table this. We have an audience.
All right,
else.
I have one more short item, and that has to do with, it's a comment about the density or the number of units in new developments. Last week, I sent the board a memo requesting a town board discussion next week on changes to the zoning code relating to how density is calculated, especially in the overlay district. When I sent the email, the discussion was timely because, as everybody knows, we were considering extending the overlay district for the 254-unit development at Navajo Fields, okay? Just the other day, I got an email that we now have a proposal to create a shrub oak overlay district for 150 units. So that whole issue of how density is calculated for overlay districts becomes very, very timely. And the reason I'm bringing this up tonight is because many times over the many months I've been on this board, I have sent requests to the town board for items to be on the agenda, and they end up in a black hole. So I want the public to know that I have requested this meeting to have a serious discussion about whether the way we calculate density, especially in overlay districts, we have to take a fresh look at, because there are problems and confusion and inconsistencies in the way that density is calculated. So I just hope that we can have this, and now with two
Susan, would you
potential
like to
overlay
tell them
districts.
my response to you too? Do you think that's appropriate?
Well, you'll consider it.
No, that's not what I said.
You'll say you'll consider it.
I said, thank you, I'm gonna look into this and consider it. And then you made a comment about consideration, and I told you what I was doing, which is I contacted our director of planning, who's sitting in the back, and via email, and I contacted our head of our planning board, who deal with the issue. Oh, I'm sorry, I also included our town attorney, who deal with the FAR, and who are the ones that are dealing with it, to find out what the inconsistency of it is, if they think there is an inconsistency in the way it's run. It's your assumption that there is, which I said, let me talk to the people that deal with it, that it starts confusion. So, and I believe this was just yesterday, was it not? Yes, it was
Friday or
Monday.
yesterday,
It was
yeah.
Monday.
Oddly enough,
So-
that sounded like a response.
Right. It sounded like a response, and it also sounded like I do want to put everything together the right way. And we've had this conversation before. If I go to my planning board and say, hey, we need to change the FAR, and they're going, why? Because we feel it works and this is what it is, it would seem like, it would really seem wrong to say, well, no, I just disagree and we're doing it this way, which is what you're doing. And I just want to make sure my planning experts have an issue.
And also that we
before I
have
address
one
it.
effective conversation, and we have to make sure, this is exactly what we talked about today. At some point, we make a request, then what I find, if you really want to talk about this board, or how we're sharing with the audience, is we have all of these open-ending conversations to show that we're not really doing anything. But at the end of the day, we are X number of miles with multiple sewer districts, with multiple water issues, with multiple, and in order to have a healthy conversation, the way I look at it is, I request information from all the parties. We come to the table once, we speak on it on its truth, and then we move on. And I'm finding that you don't even want to give a minute for that.
All right. Is there anything else on your report, Susan?
No, that's.
Thank you.
those are my-
Patrick?
Those are my issues.
So hopefully the Girl Scouts are here. Hopefully you got a little education in government. Okay.
The issue is
You might
that
got, you might have got your
Susan,
government
it's,
map
it's,
badge,
it's my
too.
turn. Okay, let me just welcome. That's all. Okay, Yvonne and the board are here. I just want to say a little stuff about the library. You guys doing a phenomenal job. Keep up the good work. Okay, so the art club on Wednesday, June 4th, grades 3 to 5. They're going to have a little something from 4 to 6. Okay. And then you have rock and roll for little ones, which are ages 0 to 5. Bring the kids. It's amazing what these guys put together. And the gamut from 0 to adults, they have everything. You know, you guys are doing a great job, Yvonne, all right? And the board. Yeah, I just want to single you guys out. So, and then you guys are going to have ASPCA is going to have a mobile adoption there on the 14th. So I'm a little ahead of myself, but we're not going to have comments next week because it's a work session. So and that's from 12 to 3 on Saturday, on the 12th. Okay. Flag Day. The Elks is going to have a Flag Day ceremony over at Jefferson Village on June 13th at 10:30. Everybody's welcome. I've been there for the last 2 or 3 years. Every year you learn something. It's a great ceremony that they put on. And so let's, next is, I just want to get through a couple comments on yours, Susan. The DOT, I believe DOT said they went from 2 to 4 because they believe it's excess of, and I don't know, John, what's that back there? Is that another crosswalk right across the street? Okay. So, now we'll have 5 crosswalks within, 100 feet. So that's what DOT does their job. They analyze it and they make decisions. So the districting, setting up another district, you might not use it, but at any given time, I want the audience to understand, at any given time, someone can just go, let's start taxing them. No discussions, no nothing, because the infrastructure of that tax system is put in place. So what Ed was talking about is just there's no need to set it up. When the time comes, if you want to tax them, you set it up and you have a public discussion. You don't do it now and hopefully, 3 years from now you can go ahead and use it. So, and the $58, I think and I believe, Susan, you could have fixed all this when you were a supervisor and councilwoman. You can laugh all you want, but you could have. You chose to not do it, and now you're going to come up here and say, we got to do this in 2 months. We're doing it slow and methodical, and I'm going to continue to tell you that. We're going to get it done right, and you know what? We're okay with taking on the chin and making sure we do it right. And some people are going to get hurt, and some will benefit. But we're going to do it right, and we're going to do it slow and methodical and correct. So, and as far as agendas, I think, Ed, you're doing a great job with, setting up the agenda.
Thank you.
That's all.
Thank our clerk and her assistants as well, because we do a lot of work on it.
Yeah, I believe you do. And we're not 5 executives. We're 4 legislators and executive.
Yep.
So just to address the issue on the road improvements that Susan brought up and the phases. The phases was how it was split up, and it was explained, and it was broken down in cost. And so possibly there were 4 crosswalks in the phase 2 part of it. The planning board chose to go with phase 2. Phase 3, so it went from it was a couple $100,000 for phase 1, which just amounted to some minor striping. The town board didn't believe that was going to be enough to mitigate the traffic concerns that were going to come in, that were coming in from the new project, and we didn't also believe that it would effectively correct the nightmare of an intersection that we've been dealing with. So we went with phase 2 was, I believe, don't quote me on it, although I'm sure I'll be quoted next week, but 1.2 million or something to that effect. And then phase 3, which was everything, the lights, the widening of the road, the turn also coming from 118, all the bells and whistles, all the works, everything included, and that doubled in price, which was just not attainable. It wasn't something that the town board or I don't think the planning board agreed with that either. It was just too expensive, and it wasn't worth the extra. It really amounted to an extra turning lane coming off of 118 into town or something like that. There was some other stuff, but I think that was the meat of it. So that's where the phases came in. Once the planning board decided that, and I believe it was, did you guys decide on phase 2, or I forget, phase 2? Right, you decided, right? The planning board did, or was it? It wasn't. I mean, we all talked about it, but in public. But so once we decided that it was phase 2, the whole phase thing kind of like dissipated, and it became what you read as part of the improvements. So now, whether or not the four crosswalks were in, Councilman Murphy brings up a good point. There's a crosswalk right in front of here. There would have been a crosswalk over there. There's another crosswalk like this. It would have been a lot of crosswalks. I'm all for it, right? It's public safety, but I believe that the DOT was petitioned and asked if, and the DOT came in and required some portions of phase 3, which wasn't in the monetary, agreement that we had with fixing the intersection. And in fact, it was the supervisor that renegotiated the deal with the developer and said, you know what? We were committed because we know that the intersection is partly our responsibility because it is a mess right now, and it has been a mess, and it's got nothing to do with the development because the development wasn't there, and it has been a mess. And it was the supervisor that turned around and said, hey, listen, we had an agreement. That was that phase 2 agreement thing, right? And we're committed to X number of dollars. If anything else happens, and if DOT requires anything else, you guys got to pay for it. That's what happened, and kudos to you for doing that. Now, I want to turn and make this a little happier here. So I want to talk about some events, okay? On Saturday, DAS Auto is having Customer Appreciation Day. They brought in a whole power sports division, so they got scooters and electric bikes and stuff like that, so it's really cool. But they're going to have burgers and fries and drinks and all of this stuff, raffles, and they're raffling off a scooter. So bring your kids, go over there, enjoy it. He's a local guy. He's been here now almost 10 years in Yorktown, so he's having an event. We had Relay for Life. It was nice. It was very solemn. It's always a great event that happens throughout Westchester County and beyond to raise money to fight cancer, which is just devastating to many, many, many people, including my family. Unfortunately, the Yorktown Huskers baseball, they lost in the semifinals. So they had a great season, and I want to congratulate them on a job well done. I will be at their award ceremony. I think it's Thursday. And so it's bittersweet for me. My son's graduating, so today the boys lacrosse team made it to the Section 1 semifinals, and they lost to Greeley. I think they almost won. They were ahead when I left to come here, and I think they ended up losing 17-15. So they did a great job. Kudos to a great season. Fitting enough, it is June 12th. Tomorrow, the girls lacrosse team is playing Greeley again. So we're going to need the girls to avenge the men on this one. So we'll see what happens tomorrow. I'll be there cheering them on, and I want to congratulate them for getting this far. We also had a groundbreaking for Guiding Eyes for the Blind up on 202, a great organization. They are international with what they do, and I know that they will improve that property and make it as beautiful as the property that they have now.
Explain what that is. People don't know what it is.
Guiding Eyes for the Blind. I'll explain it.
Sure. They Guiding Eyes for the Blind raises guide dogs and trains them, and then they bring people in from all around the world, and they train them on how to use the dogs in a 2-week class, and they do 2-week rotations. I think they take 4th of July week off and possibly Christmas week off, but amazing work that they do. They'll be doing their health and wellness for the dogs right here. They'll be bringing in jobs. They'll be bringing in traffic to go to our stores and go shopping. You know, these are some great things that have been happening, and very, very excited that this site that's been vacant for years. Back in the day, it was supposed to be a synagogue, and they finally are doing something with it and getting that opened up. So we were just there on Friday, and it's looking great. You know, they're really gonna. The plans are amazing. So.
Great organization that calls Yorktown home.
Ed, correct me if I'm wrong. So that parcel of land over there is strictly for the dogs and the
Puppies.
training?
Well, it's going to be at their health and wellness, so they'll have veterinarian services for the dogs.
Yeah, but primarily it's for the dogs.
Yes.
But people come in, they get the dogs. They're still going to go to the Guiding Eyes over by the
Granite
corner deli.
Springs.
Yeah, right. That's
I
staying
just
open.
wanted to, so the people know that, because I
Yeah.
get that
Yeah.
question a lot.
Yep.
That's all.
We have a couple of grand openings coming up. Yorktown Fitness, that'll be this weekend, and Mathnasium. We also,
Freedom Church.
that's Thursday?
Thursday.
You'll handle Freedom Church? All right. And we also have a big congratulations to Cheng and Zong, who will be, we will be attending their Court of Honor on Sunday at the Yorktown Grange Fairgrounds. So congratulations to them on a job well done and a lot of hard work comes to fruition. Thank you.
I'm just really glad to be here with all of you, so let's get this meeting on its
Thank you.
way.
All right, so we'll get into
No, we-
proclamations. Proclamation of the 81st anniversary of D-Day, as I spoke about before. Whereas June 6, 1944, the Allied forces launched Operation Overlord, the largest amphibious invasion in military history, storming the beaches of Normandy, France, to begin the liberation of Europe from Nazi occupation. And whereas more than 156,000 Allied troops, American, British, Canadian, and others, demonstrated extraordinary courage and determination under relentless fire, with over 4,000 making the ultimate sacrifice on that single day. And whereas the D-Day invasion marked a turning point in World War II, and its success laid the foundation for the Allied victory and the restoration of freedom and democracy across the continent, and whereas the heroism of the greatest generation, including those who fought, supported, and sustained the war effort, remains a timeless example of unity, patriotism, and selfless service. On this 81st anniversary, we remember and honor the bravery, sacrifice, and enduring legacy of those who served on D-Day, and we commit ourselves to preserving their memory and the principles from which they fought. Now, therefore, be it proclaimed that I, Edward Lachman, along with the town board of the town of Yorktown, do proclaim that on the 81st anniversary of D-Day, June 6, 2025, we will pause, reflect, and honor the men and women. Thank you. I will say, for those of you watching, if you ever really want to learn about D-Day per se and have that experience, I did speak with a veteran when I used to do a veteran social at the Country House, and he was a D-Day soldier. He was actually a medic who went in without a gun, he said that he watched the beginning of Private Ryan and felt that he was back in Normandy and part of the D-Day invasions. It was that realistic, the movie, to what they had. So it's an amazing thing, and that soldier actually was awarded a Silver Star and a Purple Heart as he was wounded, and ended up spending 7 months in a prisoner of war camp in Germany. Really, if you want to know what our greatest generation endured, and you haven't seen that, that's something I recommend. All right. We have Flag Day.
Yeah, I got it. Proclamation this 14th day of June, 2025. Whereas the American flag stands as a symbol of our nation's unity, freedom, and enduring commitment to liberty and justice for all. Whereas on June 14, 1777, the Second Continental Congress adopted the Stars and Stripes as the official flag of the United States, representing the birth of a new nation and the ideals for which it stands. And whereas Flag Day provides an opportunity for all Americans to reflect on the rich history of our country, to express pride in our national heritage, and to honor the brave individuals who have defended our flag and the freedoms it represents. And whereas the American flag continues to inspire generations of citizens and serves as a powerful reminder of the sacrifices made in the pursuit of a more perfect union, it is fitting that we come together as a community to recognize and celebrate the significance of our nation's flag, reaffirm our loyalty to its principles, and promote patriotism among all generations. Now, therefore, be it proclaimed that I, Edward A. Lachterman, along with the town board of the town of Yorktown, encourage all citizens to display the American flag proudly, reflect on its meaning, and participate in events that honor the values of democracy, unity, and freedom.
Thank you, Sergio. Patrick, can you please bring this to the Elks Club, as
Sure. I'll see them.
they do some great work in the flag recognition. All right, and then we have National Women's Veterans Recognition Day.
All right, got that one too. Proclamation this 12th day of June 2025. Whereas throughout history, women have been among the patriots who have defended our land and liberty from every enemy. Many women have served in the military, in occupations from pilots to nurses, in both peacetime and war. We owe all of them a special debt of gratitude for their part in advancing the promise of freedom. And whereas women were permitted to serve as permanent members of the United States Armed Forces with the enactment of the Armed Services Integration Act of 1948, still the federal law restricted women no more than 2% of the enlisted force for each branch of the United States Armed Forces. A subsequent act in 1967 lifted the restrictions and allowed women to achieve higher military ranks. And whereas laws passed since the 1970s have formally granted veteran status to women with World War II service, have recognized the many contributions made by women veterans, and have allowed women veterans more equal status and access to benefits, opportunities, and programs from the federal government, state governments, and veteran service organizations. And whereas women continue to enrich our country in civilian life as they bring their skills and patriotism to bear in communities across America, let us use the Women Veterans Day to honor the service, sacrifice, and love of country so gladly given by our women veterans. Now, therefore, be it resolved that I, Edward A. Lachterman, and the town board of the town of Yorktown encourage all Americans and government officials at every level to celebrate these women with appropriate ceremonies and activities. Now go beat Greeley tomorrow. That's what I'm saying.
Thank you, Sergio. As the D-Day proclamation had some great meaning to me, as I remember my friend Robert Katzenoff, the Pride certificate today for Pride Month. My brother was a leader in the early 70s at SUNY Stony Brook in gay rights, and always fought for the equality that we all aim for. And as we spoke about the anti-Semitic attacks, there are all types of attacks, and we really, it should be a country that we are all just, or even a world where all just people, human beings, striving towards the good and working together. So I'd like to read this proclamation this 3rd day of June, 2025. Whereas every June, communities across the nation come together to celebrate Pride Month, honoring the history, diversity, and contributions of the LGBTQ+ community, while affirming the importance of dignity, equality, and visibility for all people, regardless of sexual orientation, gender identity, or gender expression. And whereas Pride Month commemorates the Stonewall Uprising of June 1969, a pivotal moment in the LGBTQ+ civil rights movement, which continues to inspire progress and advocacy for justice and equal protection under the law. And whereas we recognize that the ongoing fight for LGBTQ+ rights is a matter of human rights, and we reaffirm our collective responsibility to create safe, affirming, and inclusive space for all individuals. And whereas Pride Month is both a celebration of love and authenticity and a call to action to confront inequality wherever it exists, support LGBTQ plus youth, and promote mental health, safety, and a sense of belonging. Now, therefore, be it resolved, the town of Yorktown recognizes and celebrates June as Pride Month, and be it further resolved, I, Edward A. Lachterman, and the town board of the town of Yorktown encourage all residents to reflect on the importance of inclusion, stand in solidarity with the LGBTQ plus community, and continue working towards a future where all people are valued and free to live as their true selves.
Okay, I'm up. So we do have the library here, and I have some of my little anchors in town, but I have been trying very hard to bring a program that's in London, which is called a human library, where people can sit and learn about each other's experiences. Maybe a parent teaches differently, maybe culturally I deal with these sort of adversities or these privileges, whatever they might be. These are how we wake up in the morning. Breakfast is important in my house. No one's home to give me breakfast. Whatever these experiences are. And I have the honor of reading the Race Amity of Northern Westchester Proclamation. And maybe, Yvonne, you and I can sit and do a bit of a human library where people might be willing to sit and have hard conversations and come there with an open heart so that we can have these discussions, so that we can teach how to create inclusivity instead of teaching how to stop hate. Maybe we need to go back and say, we won't use those words and we'll actually encourage connection. And I know that it works overseas, so why not bring it here? So whereas Race Amity of Northern Westchester and Putnam has worked tirelessly at fostering cross-cultural and interracial friendships, understanding, and unity throughout our community. And whereas founded in 2018 by community leaders Susan Cody and Irene Chen, I think you're here. Yeah, there you are. I see you guys. Race Amity has become a beacon of hope and dialogue, hosting monthly educational forums, film screenings, and heartfelt discussions that promote inclusiveness, equity, and justice. And whereas the mission of Race Amity of Northern Westchester and Putnam to cultivate amicable relationships through communication, collaboration, and celebration embodies the very spirit of National Race Amity Day and enriches the social fabric of our town and neighborhoods. And whereas the annual Race Amity Day Festival in Somers, which is brilliant, by the way, brings together people of all backgrounds to share food, everything at the table, right? Food, culture, music, and meaningful conversation, reflecting collective commitment to healing and understanding. Now, therefore, be it proclaimed that I, on behalf of the town board, along with Edward Lachterman, it's not going to be you, along with the town board of Yorktown, hereby recognize and commend Race Amity of Northern Westchester and Putnam for its outstanding leadership in promoting racial amity and unity, and in celebration of its contribution to proclaim that Sunday, June 8th, 2025, as Race Amity Day. And I also think that I'm part of the Weapon PTA. This might be something for me to bring to the conference, because I do think that we are trying to bring in, and I know that Lakeland does it, where you have like cultural days and whatnot. But when we're fostering connection, you have to check your judgment at the door. You have to walk in with a non-shaming heart. And I think if we speak in those terms versus what we want you to stop and what we want to actually encourage, we might have people hear us as opposed to be in defense, because we're not going to find your heart if you're always in defense. So I think this is beautiful. And I am going to edit a couple things on it and then get it to you, or to you, whomever, okay?
Yeah, this is
Yeah, it's her, I know.
three members of
I see you all three. Thank you for letting me witness you. This has to go back to Lorraine just for a couple edits.
Oh, okay,
Okay.
I would
Thank you.
like to offer our assistance in your.
well, if you want to come up to the microphone real quick, since,
We're very grateful for this proclamation.
It's
bend it down a little bit towards you. There you
Okay.
go.
And I personally am moved by what you have said about this. And I offer the resources and the experience. We've been doing this every month since 2018. in forwarding your hopes.
Yeah, now that I've entered some more non-paying jobs, I will definitely call ask, and try to do more of this. I think that those conversations are really, really important.
They're really important and they're really effective. Yes, and please, everybody, come and join us in Reese Park on Sunday. The potluck picnic starts at 1 o'clock, and the program starts at 2 o'clock. We'll have some wonderful stuff going on, including the Clearwater Walkabout Chorus is going to come and sing.
Oh, how beautiful.
And we'll have a lot of other wonderful activities for the afternoon. And should it rain, we'll go into the Somers Library, which it's very convenient having the library in the park and having somebody who plans programs for the library and has the keys.
3 things.
So, I don't.
Well, I want to thank you, and I know Judith and I have spoken on this many times.
Thanks, Judith.
We had an incident, and where someone made a comment, caught on tape, and where people ostracized and people attacked. Race Amnesty reached out, worked with this individual, and I would say changed his life.
Yeah.
And I think that's some of the amazing work you do.
I think experiences
And-
do that.
Yeah,
Sure.
and I've thanked you many times on it, Judith, and I thank you again with your team. And that is what it's about. We talk about this, and we have so many issues in the world that unfortunately sometimes seem to be going backwards.
Yeah.
And hopefully we get to a point where every side of the aisle talks about working together and unity and a common goal.
Yeah, and I also think that sitting in the discomfort allows you to notice the blind spots in life. And I think that we have blind spots not only in these situations, but also how we move through our day and how we treat just even like our family members. I mean, sometimes it's as close as that to be. And I think the blind spots are really important. And I think having the wisdom to sit in the discomfort and not feel shame and not bring shame is definitely where it starts. And I encourage this, and I think you guys are doing a great job. So thank you.
Thank you very much. We're very grateful.
Us as well.
Thank you.
All right.
Still up?
Okay,
Let's
I
get
told you an hour and a half. Fortunately for you, they
got
just
like 5
burnt, they
minutes.
just burnt an hour and 22 minutes of that. So,
I'm impressed they're still awake.
so I'd like to call up members of Girl Scout Troop 227 to talk about their Silver Award.
No, 2277.
Yes.
Oh, missing a 7. All right.
2277.
Hi, my name is Amelia Mallon.
Hi, my name is Kosani Mandrukes.
Hi, my name is Juliana Revens.
We are in 8th grade and go to Copper Beach Middle School, and we are in Girl Scout Troop 2277.
We are here to share with you our plans for our Silver Award project. Our project is called Second Life Puzzles, the Puzzles Reuse Initiative.
Our project is going to serve a few purposes. First, it will provide the library a bookshelf to hold puzzles, which will be donated or taken by the community. This was meant for adults and children to have free access for puzzles.
The second goal of our project is to reuse puzzles that otherwise would be discarded and wasted, which is a positive thing to do for the environment. The third goal is to educate community members on the importance of doing puzzles for their fine motor skills, hand-eye coordination, brain development, memory, and overall mood improvement. Throughout the course of this summer and early fall, we will be completing this project and would love any help or ideas from our community in support of us. Thank you for taking your time to listen to our ideas, and have a great night.
Thank you, girl.
Hold on, don't run away, ladies. Don't run away. The first question goes for you. Is your grandfather either George or Dino?
Yeah.
I grew up with him, so tell him Ed said hello, please. That being, yeah, well, he's my age, so. Oh, okay. He's my age, so I know I wouldn't have an 8th grader at this point. My daughter's 40, so. So I would say I would ask, have you contemplated going? It's technically Yorktown, but pays Somers taxes. There's a memory care facility right down the road across from Bobo's. I know you know where Bobo's is. Have you ladies considered possibly going into memory care? Because you're right, the puzzles really help with that. And if there are things, maybe to extend that out to there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You could always build on your project, right?
Yeah.
I think that what you're trying to do is not only something that you need to try out. I think you can totally get it done. I think one of the best parts about it is there are so many puzzles that can bring other people joy. And by sharing them, whether it's a scene or a photo, or even sometimes people find puzzles that are discarded in their people's pictures, because now you can make a puzzle pretty much out of everything. You can restore memory in that way, and I think it's great. From a puzzle lover to a puzzle shelf builder, I'm grateful, because I'm pretty sure that I've run out of all the mountain puzzles that are on the internet at this point. So,
Great idea.
yeah.
Great job.
Let us
And
know.
obviously, Pat will say, thanks for keep going with that library.
That's right.
He loves the library.
No.
Great
Thank
job.
you, ladies. And since we're talking about the library, our next presentation is with Yvonne Check, the director of the John C. Hart Memorial Library.
I'm willing to bet she has a slideshow.
Of course.
I don't go anywhere without a slideshow, right?
Hey.
Is it
She
going
always
to
has
work?
a thumb drive with a slideshow in her purse or back pocket.
We're going to try and get that up and on the screen. So while we're doing that, hello everyone, good evening. My name is Yvonne Check, and I have the great honor of being the director of the John C. Hart Memorial Library. Each year I do come to this board and to all of you to give you an update on how we're doing, a sort of state of the library address.
Yvonne, can I throw you off a minute, though?
Sure.
Can you, because you have a very dedicated library board of directors who show up at these events and come to everything, and they're all volunteer. I see a few members. Would you like to
We see you too.
say hello to? and let us know
Absolutely.
who's
I
here?
actually was
It was in there?
absolutely going to
I'm
point
sorry.
that out, but we can do that now. We have most of the members of our library board of trustees here. And so just for everyone to understand, the library board are really dedicated volunteers. They serve 5-year terms at a time, and usually 2 consecutive terms for a total of 10 years of volunteering. They are a governing board. They dedicate a great deal of their time, and they're charged with making sure that helping to create the strategic direction for the library and making sure that we're meeting the needs of the community. So can we have our library board members stand up, please? So we have Kathy Ritchie is our board chair. We have Laura Tropp as our secretary. We have Jean Zappia, who is our vice president, and Kathy Bahan is our member at large. So, and not here with us this evening, but also a member of the board is Barry Ehrenberg. Thank you all so much.
Well, you ladies get the extra gold stars. Barry's not getting one.
And look at as a liaison to the library, you guys do a great job. You're very thorough. You're very passionate, and it comes out. And the programs that you guys come up with and implement is phenomenal. You do a really good job. So I just want to give a shout out to the board and to you, Yvonne.
Thank you so much. It's definitely takes a team effort. We have a lot of people, the staff, the board, we have volunteers, and it all comes together to create a great library. As part of the requirements that we have for the state of New York, we track a number of statistics. So the statistics are, sure, they're a requirement, but they're also a really great tool, and they help us, as we analyze them, they help us see trends, and then that helps us to understand what we need to provide for the community and how to support the community. So I want to share 4 statistics with you today. Next slide. As you know, the library provides essential services for the residents of Yorktown. I'm going to show you some of the ways that we use these, that people in town use these essential services, and I'm going to do that by giving you 4 different statistics. So the first slide, as you can see, that's a trend line going straight up. This is a chart of foot traffic, meaning how many people actually come through the doors of the library, and this is over the last 5 years. In 2024, over 140,000 people came through the library doors. That's on average between 400 to 500 people a day coming to the library building. And of course, 2020 was the pandemic, but you can see that even after the pandemic was over, the traffic continues to go up each year. Next slide. Another trend line going straight up. This is for items that are borrowed from the library. Again, over the last same 5-year period, also going steadily up. Over 376,000 items were checked out of the library in 2024. That averages about 1,100 items a day that get checked out. This surpasses pre-pandemic numbers. It's the highest number we've ever had. There are 38 libraries in Westchester County, and the John C. Hart Library always ranks among the top 5 for how busy we are, meaning how many items get checked out. And that includes cities of Yonkers and White Plains. So we are a busy library. Often we're in the top 2 or 3 of all libraries. Next slide. Here are some of the very friendly faces from our circulation staff who check out all of those books every day, all of those 1,100 books. Next slide. I'm going to tell you 2 more statistics. Over 25,000 people attended our library programs in 2024. And that's across, as Councilman Murphy said earlier, across every age group from newborn all the way through senior citizens. It's an average of about 75 people per day attending a library program. This photo was from one of our popular trivia nights. We do that on Friday nights after the library's closed. It's a lot of fun. And the next slide. The last statistic that I want to share is that each librarian in the building keeps an actual tally score of all the reference questions that they answer. And we actually have to provide this number to the state. It's part of what we're required to report every year. We answered over 35,000 reference questions in 2024. So that's over 100 per day. Next slide. We often receive some thoughtful thank you notes. This one we just got last week, and it was from a patron who spent the better part of a year doing research for an article that he was writing, and he was thanking our reference staff for their help and letting us know that his research got published. So the library really provides essential services to the community, and it's very much appreciated. Next slide. Next, I want to give you some highlights of library programs and services. We're going to start with our adult programs. I can't tell you all of the programs because we'd be here for another 4 hours, but I'm going to pick a couple of programs to just talk about. This picture that you see here was a movie screening that we did with a local filmmaker. Next slide. We provide drop-in learn-to-draw classes with a local artist. Next. We have all kinds of craft classes. This one was to make a pocket library. That's one of my favorites. We have a plant swap every year. We did it again this year. It's a free event. You bring a plant and you take a plant. It's a great way for the community to share their garden bounty, and we know Yorktowners love to garden. Next slide. We offered sound healing. This is a kind of meditation that promotes relaxation. I think we can all use that. Next slide. And we partnered with the SPCA for a dog adoption day. You can see Supervisor Lachterman is there.
Little guy sitting to the right?
Yeah.
We did not adopt a dog there, but it spurred my wife on getting our new puppy that we have. So
Well,
thank you.
it planted the idea, right?
Well, I always had the idea. She just told me no, but I think this helped move her along. So thank you.
You're welcome. Next slide. There were 328 people that attended the event that day, and 5 of the 8 dogs that the SPCA brought with them were adopted. So 5 local families added a new member of their family that day.
And I know a couple of people were going down to the SPCA to look at some of the older dogs and some cats too. So it may have even had a greater reach for those.
Yeah, it just highlights, it brings awareness to that organization. For many years now, we've been providing free tax filing help for seniors. It's a very popular program. We partner with the AARP. They come to the library every year from January through April, and they provide the expert volunteers to help with the tax filing, and we helped 135 seniors this year with free tax filing help. Next slide. We have a new service this year. We now have a notary on our staff. So it's free to the public. We offer this on Thursday evenings, and we purposely do that because most of the banks that offer this service are closed, and other places that offer the service are closed, so we offer it Thursday evenings. You can book an appointment with our librarian, Colin Russell, who is now a certified notary public. Next.
He's a good addition, Colin. He's a good addition.
He is, yes. We have museum passes. So what we do is we buy a library pass to many, many museums. And then using your library card, you come to the library and you check out a pass. You either get free admission or reduced admission, admission to the library or to the museum, depending on what that museum offers. And this is a way for, it can get pretty pricey if you want to bring your whole family to a museum for the day. But again, here's where your library card is one of the most valuable cards in your wallet, and it helps get you into museums for free. So you can come to the library and reserve that pass, and now we offer you to reserve it online. So you can look at our website, see what museum you want to go to, see if the museum pass is available, and go ahead and reserve it right online. So you can do it like on a Friday night if you think you have the next day free. It's a great thing to do. Next slide. And you probably already know by now that we're a certified U.S. passport agency. So if you need a first-time passport, come to the library. We'll get it done for you. Next. Just going to highlight a couple of our teen programs. This one was a program for teens and parents, a program to help students figure out how to find the right college. And in this series, we ran another program to help families figure out how to pay for college. So all of you parents that have teens that are getting ready to go to college, then you know how valuable that information is. Next.
Don't remind me.
These are teens who volunteer to create our annual haunted house at the library. This was one of their planning meetings. Next. We currently have 250 teen volunteers who come to the library seeking their community service hours. They do everything from help assist at the children's programs to creating that annual haunted house that we do. They help in our offices, they do data entry, they do filing. This was our 2024 end of summer Teen Volunteer Award program that we hosted. The library is very invested in the community. Now for a couple of children's programs. This was adult-child yoga, very popular. Next. We partnered with, next slide, we partnered with 4-H and the Cornell Cooperative Extension to do a program called Tree Journaling. We know Yorktown loves trees, and this was a program to teach children about the importance of trees. Next. Our Bouncing Babies program. This was with our children's librarian, Miss Olivia. You can see you're never too young to start coming to the library. Next. We have a new program called Song and Beat Mindfulness Drumming. It's for the entire family. Everyone gets a turn to learn to play some percussion. This one's very popular. We have to do this in the community room because we overflow every other room with this one. Next. This was Bat Appreciation Day, where we read stories about bats and then children made origami bats. And here we partnered with the Mohegan Fire Company to teach fire safety to children. Really important. Next, Green Meadows Farm came to the library to teach children about wild animals. And next, this past February, we had Take Your Child to the Library Day. And this is, you can see our popular children's book character, Pete the Cat, was on the scene. Another job for our teen volunteers. They play Pete the Cat sometimes. Next slide. We always participate in National Read Across America Day. This is March 2nd every year. Next slide. On that day, Read Across America Day, community leaders model the importance of reading to our youngest citizens. Here you see Supervisor Lachterman, Police Chief Noble, and Highway Superintendent Paganelli taking time out of their busy day to read to children. And here, a young patron taking advantage of our program called Pause to Read, and it's reading to a therapy dog, which helps emerging readers build their confidence. What's less judgmental than a dog, right? So reading to a dog helps our emerging readers. So the library provides essential early literacy services to the community, serving children starting at birth. It's never too early to create a habit of reading. Next, here are some of the friendly faces of our librarians who make those programs possible. And while this was by no means an exhaustive list of our programs, I think it does give you just a good sampling of the variety of programs and the services that we offer. Next, I want to take a minute to talk about our digital resources. There's a lot of interest in the community for ebooks and e-audiobooks and streaming services. Digital use by our patrons has increased 20% over last year. You can check out ebooks, e-audiobooks, digital magazines, stream movies, and you can do it all for free using your library card.
Yvonne,
Can
you just take 1 second and explain a little budgetary on why ebooks are a little more expensive than hardcover books and how that process works. Because a lot of people just think it's an ebook. You should have 1 million copies, and why do I have to wait online? So we just explain
It is
that
a really good question, and we buy ebooks for, and they get put in our catalog just like our books do. But ebooks, an average book, we always use the number of $22 for an average book. An average ebook costs between $80 and $100. And we're restricted by publisher restrictions to not lend more than one at a time. So you still have to wait in line for an ebook, even though that doesn't seem like it makes sense. But these are publisher restrictions. And when we buy the ebook, even though it's sometimes 4 times as much as a regular book, we only own it for 2 years or 24 uses. And then we have to buy it again. So the publishers don't make it easy. There is actually some legislation being proposed in Albany to try and make that a little more fair for libraries. And not sure if it's going to make it in this session, and maybe has to go to next year. But this is something that would be worth the community supporting on a legislative level at Albany, because if we could have a more fair model for buying ebooks, we could provide more to the community.
When they're on the hit list, they're gone in a week.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've experienced.
Yeah, we do have another service now, which I'll talk about in a second, called Hoopla, which is a streaming service. And very often, if you're on a long wait list for an ebook from the library, if you can go on Hoopla, sometimes you can find it there, and it's consecutive use there. So, or simultaneous use there. So many people can use it all at once. It doesn't have the same selection as our regular ebooks. But that's another way that we're trying to mitigate these long wait times. So I did bring a lot of handouts about our digital resources, and they're in the back. So if you want to grab some on your way out, and if we go to the next slide, I'll just show you a couple of our resources. The big K that you see on the screen, that's what you'd look for in your app store. And this, if you download this free app called Canopy and you insert your library card number, you get access to all of these movies for free. And you can stream it anywhere, including on your smart TV. So this is a fabulous resource, and it has an extraordinary list of movies. Next. This is the Hoopla app I was just talking about. So if you look at that blue square for Hoopla and look for that in your app store and download this, put in your library card number, and you get free ebooks, audiobooks, movies, and more. Again, just using your library card. Best card in your wallet.
I love the way you talk about the library cards.
I use the Libby.
It's like an Amex with unlimited, and you don't have to pay it back.
It's free.
Buy what you want, everything's free. Don't worry.
You can download this Libby app and get free ebooks. So I hope nobody is going and paying for their ebooks anymore, because you can get them for free from the library. You can also get digital magazines on this Libby app. So it's a great app to download. You plug in your library card number, it's all free.
But I can only get certain free books on Audible. And it's interesting because it's through Libby, like I try to share it to another person who has a Libby account, and they're like, nah, nah. And I'm like, but it's going to that other. So
Because it's based on the
location.
On location, yeah.
Yeah.
Next slide. Another digital resource that we have is free music streaming. So you've probably all heard of Spotify or Apple Music. The library version of that is called Freegal, and it's the same concept. You download this app and you plug in your library card, and you have access to downloading all kinds of free music. Cool. Again, using your library card. And our library users download about 4,000 free songs a month using this app. It's amazing.
Is that not in the Apple Store? Because I just tried to plug it in. It
You
didn't
need a
come up.
library card.
No, but it didn't come up on my search.
It should be in your here. I'll
It's
show
in your app store. It should be in your app store.
It didn't come up.
Freegal.
you. Here.
You can call one of our reference librarians and they can help you.
I will. It'll be one more to add to the 35,000 plus. I gotcha.
You gotta go here.
You got to get an Android, man.
No. He's good.
And then if we go to the next slide, through Gale OneFile, we provide online access to over 2,300 newspapers like the Wall Street Journal, the Washington Post, international newspapers like the Times of London, the Japan Times. And new this year, we now offer full online access to the New York Times, including the historical archives. And you can access crossword puzzles, recipes, games, articles, all there for you free from with your library card. And if you have any trouble doing this, call our reference librarians, and we're more than happy to help you. We've heard from a lot of people who have come in and told us that they've canceled their newspaper subscriptions because they can get it for free from the library. Next.
I just answered his question, so put it down as one of your reference questions. Why not, right?
You got another free job.
Yeah, I do have too many.
You're hired.
I know. Whenever. Yeah, at this point.
This is an incredible service. This is called tutor.com. And we get asked all the time. People come to the library and ask where they can get help with from a tutor. This is a service through Princeton Review where a student can connect live with a tutor and get expert on-demand help in any subject.
It's like
This
ChatGPT
resource,
tutoring.
and you're actually connecting
Talking to somebody.
with a person. It's extraordinary. It's free to you using your library card. You get help for the student in your life right now. Anybody who's maybe struggling to get ready for an exam at the end of the year, no appointments are necessary. It spans grades kindergarten through 12. It's really amazing. Again, a sampling of our very useful digital services. Look at our website for all the rest of them. Next. So those are some of the ways that we provide resources and programs and services for the community. But you'll also see us out in the community. We bring the library to you. We do this literally with our Homebound program with volunteers who are actually delivering books to our Yorktown residents who cannot get to the library. And you'll also find us wherever there are community events happening. Next. Here we are at the 2024 Yorktown Halloween Parade. Next. At Relay for Life, which was just a couple weeks ago. Next. We were at the Rochambeau Festival again this year, also about a week or two ago. Next. At the local elementary schools during Family Literacy Night. This time of year, our librarians are very busy. They go to all the schools in the Lakeland and Yorktown School District, and they talk about all of our resources, and they talk about how to sign up for our summer reading program. So you will see us all over town bringing the library out to the people. The community comes to us, and we go to you. Next. So what's been happening in the library? Since I was here last, I gave an update last October, which was about 8 months ago, I want to just tell you a couple of things that have been happening in the library. Next, we had just done a ribbon cutting when I was here last. Next, to unveil our newly installed individual study rooms. I am happy to report that since I was here last and those study rooms were opened, we have had over 1,700 reservations. Each reservation is a 2-hour block. That means that the study rooms have been in use over 3,500 hours since they opened in the fall. So very popular, and everyone is providing some pretty positive feedback. You can reserve them online or in person. Next, this one. And also, since I was here with you last, we finished converting all our old fluorescent lights in the basement level of the library to energy-efficient LED lights. And we also just installed a perimeter security system. Both were courtesy of grants from State Senator Pete Harcum. And you can see Supervisor Lachterman there with us. We were able to also purchase a great deal of programming equipment at the end of 2024, utilizing another grant. We bought 6 sewing machines, some embroidery machines, podcast recording equipment, kitchen equipment for cooking demonstrations, and some button makers. This is a teen using one of our newly purchased sewing machines, taking a young adult program on the basics of sewing. Next, we also have adults using the sewing machines. We're really pleased to be able to offer this kind of equipment at the library. You know, if somebody's wondering, should I buy a sewing machine? Should I invest in that? And you're not sure, come to the library, try it out, see if it's for you, take some of our classes on how to do it. And it's, or maybe you just come to the library and use the sewing machine. So in the next couple of years, you're going to see a lot of really interesting programs with all of this programming equipment that we were able to get. Next slide. Another thing we've been able to do in the last few months is make some changes to our children's room. This is a 3D rendering of the changes. You know, we realized that our storytime room was just too small. Mm-hmm. When it was built a couple of decades ago, we used to get 10 or 12 kids to a storytime. Now we get 40 or 50. So we couldn't fit. So we had to expand the room. So we changed the layout of the room a little bit, and we were able to make a larger storytime room and create a sensory play area. And that was courtesy of a very generous donation from a local Yorktown family. So we're going to continue to add some more things to that room throughout the summer. Next. So those are all the things that we've been up to since I was here last. And here's what you can look forward to happening at the library, coming up very soon. Next. Our biggest program of the year is coming up at the end of June. Each year we participate in the National Summer Reading Program. This year the theme is Color Our World. It's an enormous annual event that we host, and it's when people come and sign up for the summer reading program. As you know, reading is a skill. It needs to be practiced like all skills. When schools close for the summer, the public library is here to pick up the slack. And so we provide incentives, keep kids on track with their reading so that they don't end up with a deficit when they go back in the fall. This huge event is meant to inspire kids, to give them incentives, and to sign up for the program and keep them on track. Last year, we had over 2,000 people attend the program. Next. This year, this event is on Friday, June 27th. From 2 to 4 p.m. It's always held on the last day of school. So if school gets out early, come straight to the library. Make sure you sign up for summer reading. And by the way, adults can sign up too. Why should kids have all the fun? The library really does provide essential services. And of course, we couldn't do all of these things that we do without the support from our community. So some of you may know that we have a Friends of the Library group. This is another group of dedicated volunteers. They raise money through their book sales, their bake sales, and other activities to help pay for some of the programs at the library. And one of the things they sponsor is that summer reading program. So another thing that's coming up is some building improvements. We are part of the county-wide initiative to install EV charging stations at municipal locations. and the planning is underway. Installation is slated to begin in the next couple of weeks. We will have 3 dual port stations and be able to charge 6 EV vehicles at one time. Later this year, we'll be upgrading the adult and teen areas of the library, so look for the same great library service, but with a fresh look. And here's an ask of the community. Every couple of years, we do a survey, and this is really important for us to get feedback. We want to understand how we can better accommodate people and what you're looking for and what your needs are. So look for in the next couple of weeks, we're going to be launching a library survey. Please take the time to submit it. It's really helpful for us. A couple of years ago, we had over 600 people answer our survey, and that information ends up resulting in programs and services that we provide. And again, we already introduced our library board. Here they are today. Next. While the library is always evolving, it's always still a place to just come and read. It's the place for knowledge in all its forms, for discovery, for entertainment, and for connection. I hope I've given you a good overview of some of the recent building upgrades and some of our programs, and a look at what's coming up next. The John C. Hart Memorial Library has served this town for over 100 years in this very building. We hope to continue to serve you for the next 100 years. Be sure to answer our survey that's coming out soon. Next. So that we can continue to provide library resources and services to meet all of your needs and all of their evolving needs. Thank you for listening.
Thank you so much, Yvonne. As usual, wonderful, wonderful work. I see why we have the powerhouse here and why you push Barry aside. But no, it's every time I go there, I'm just amazed at not only everything that's changing and evolving and growing, but the dedication of your team as to what you offer and where you bring.
It's absolutely amazing.
Yep. Thank you so much.
I just got one question, because there's a Seinfeld episode for everything, right? Have you ever seen the Seinfeld episode about the library? Wasn't it hysterical? What was the book? Do you remember the book? Tropic of Cancer.
Yeah.
I was going to say Tropic of Cancer, yeah. And it was Mr. Buckmeyer.
And then they sent the library cop. Anyway, great job. I mean, just amazing, all the stuff that I don't even know how you keep track of it all, to be quite honest, all of you. Thank you very much for doing
You guys all do a great job, honestly.
Do you have anything from John McMullen?
Yes, I
Poet
do.
Laureate? Okay.
Poet Laureate.
So Poet Laureate is still out, but Sergio will step in for him.
Yeah. The AI boat is leaving the dock, directed by John McMullen.
The AI boat?
The AI boat. If you're not on the AI boat, you're anchored in the past, watching the future unfold through a foggy glass. Adrift in the sea of progress, yet to set sail, clinging to the shores of old, where behemoths fail. The horizon, he never won. This is all right. The horizon calls the visions so grand, where minds meld with code and dreams expand. Bits and bytes dance in a digital ballet, crafting a new world in a binary array. Join the voyage or be left in the wake. The AI boat sails on, a future to make.
It's true.
John McMullen.
Thanks, John.
Sure he didn't
Feel
use
better.
AI on that?
Well, he goes on. There's more. He says, I said directed rather just by, because I directed Microsoft's Copilot, which can be downloaded as an app. I have it on both my phone and my Windows laptop, to write a poem on the importance of getting into AI before it makes you obsolete. Now, people familiar with my poetry know I don't write rhyme poetry, so I gave Copilot new instructions to write a short, unrhymed poem on the same subject, and this is how it sounds. The AI trained speeds relentless. Opportunity boards, hesitation lags. Missed it? The world turns unforgiving. Adopt or fade, for progress waits for none. I could, of course, modify this myself or give Copilot new instructions, Or just write the damn thing poem out myself.
Okay.
By John McMullen.
Very
Feel
good.
better,
John.
All right, we'll give Mr. Murphy a moment to get back before we move over to personnel.
He actually rhymes pretty good.
That wasn't him.
That was him.
No,
It was
his
AI.
co-pilot.
No, the second part. We're gonna have to talk to him about it. We have questions. Questions.
All right.
I feel like I should go to the.
Here he comes. We are waiting on you, Mr.
I was gonna come
Murphy.
get you.
All right, for personnel, from the Office of the Personnel Manager, create the position of a staffing assistant, finance and administration within the Water Department. Authorized water meter maintenance foreperson Michael Hecker to be moved to Group 15, Step 5 in the Water Department. Authorized water meter maintenance foreperson James Waterhouse to be modified from Group 14 to Group 15 in the Water Department. And these are done because their jobs have changed over the past decades, and they needed new certifications, and they are also doing a lot more work responsibility-wise with all the Board of Health requirements. Can I have a motion on those three?
I'll make that motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 Right, and we will open the floor for public comment. Please, when you come to the mic, introduce yourself. It's a 3-minute time limit. If you do have something to talk to the board about, you do not have to wait for courtesy of the floor. You could reach everyone on the dais and all of our department heads by going through the town's website, www.yorktownny.gov, and you can find all the contact information for us and, of course, our library on that website. Thank you.
Ed, do you want to give us a quick update on the water meters? How good we're doing with it?
No, we're courtesy of the floor, so.
I just thought you were talking about water. No, we're good.
Good evening, Jan Mirchandani. Two things I just wanted to raise. The first thing I wanted to talk about was, unfortunately, some inconsistent treatment of public speakers at this meeting. When Ron Kamen spoke last, his last name is Kamen, and he came in and spoke, so, about sustainability issues. The board fairly aggressively challenged him for not being a town resident, suggesting he represented special interests. However, when Mr. Davis spoke, not once but twice, coming up before the to speak, it was not mentioned that he is a paid representative of the Dell Avenue project neighbors. There was no one mentioned it. It never came up, even though he also does not live in town. And he had a direct financial stake. So I actually was unaware of this until I saw that document on the town website. So clearly there was a letter that was submitted. My concern is that by failing to disclose that Mr. Davis is also a non-resident and had a financial interest in the matter before the board, this double standard sort of gives a perception that there's an inconsistency of applying the rules. So I just wanted to raise that. You know, we had one gentleman who was here speaking on behalf of the Business Council, made his position very clear who he was, where he was coming from, and who he was representing, not a paid position. We had another gentleman who had a paid position, and that was not raised. So I just wanted to mention that. The second thing that I wanted to talk about was I, like many residents, have made significant note of the size, not just the development going in across the street, but the size of the development. I'm not taking issue with it. I know we had, I think Luciani said billions of meetings on the issue.
Yes.
My concern.
My entire 4 years, Ken.
The reason I mention it is, as I was sitting in my car, I think it was actually at the last meeting, and I'm staring across, kind of taken aback at the size. We're basically almost 5 stories across the street. My concern was, do we even have fire equipment that can go up that high? And as I was thinking about that, and public safety came up several times in the board reports earlier tonight, as I was as I was looking at that, do we have fire equipment? Do we have emergency equipment that can handle those buildings? And we have more. Susan mentioned we've got another project that's coming before the town board again. So my question, landing the plane, is when was the last time we've done a significant safety survey of the town?
Thanks, Jen. Hi, Lonnie.
Good evening, everyone. Ilan Gilbert, former town supervisor. I was very pleased with your recognition tonight of the sacrifices made by our greatest generation and the people of the military. My dad, a medic in World War II, not at D-Day, but at 3 amphibious invasions during the course of the European theater. And I was deeply touched. And I was also pleased with your recognition of the LGBTQ community and in your proclamations. Really, those soldiers in 1944 fought for all our liberties. And for all. And in summary, this is believe it or not, this is DEI in real everyday terms of life, which benefits us all. Let's let Yorktown continue to lead the way. Unfortunately, there are always going to be some who spin things negatively, but there's nothing wrong with DEI as a concept. Diversity, equity, inclusion, that's what you were all talking about here tonight. We can set the standard locally, and it can be applied nationally. DEI shouldn't be about quotas where some people spin it and believe that's what it's all about. That's not what DEI is about. But rather, it's about giving every individual in the country equal access to the best this country has to offer. So, thank you again for educating by recognizing those rights that everyone deserves. Thank you.
Bless you.
Good evening, Town Board. My name is Howard Gould.
Yeah, we say it, Howard.
Anyway, I'd like to talk about a couple of things. Like I always.
love the shirt.
Thank you. You should have seen me in Walmart today. I was stopped about 5 times anyway. My time is running. Speaking about running, the traffic and there's a sign that is needed, or a traffic or light or something on Perry and East Main Street, because there are cars that are flying there, so hopefully something can be done. Also, on 800 Main Street, where they're going to be building something there right across from the golf course. I think they should have 4 traffic lights instead of the 2 that were discussed. At least that's what, if I want to stand corrected if I'm wrong. And also, you can only make a right turn with the light once you get off the Taconic going towards the mall. I think they should be able to make a right turn on red, because I've seen so many cars when I get off make that right turn, and I'm like, what is the point of that? And maybe it'll move faster. That's just my opinion. Also, I wish John McMullen a quick recovery. Also, I want to put this as nicely as I can. Councilwoman Susan Siegel. And I know you have thick skin, so I'm not going to start with the compliments and then say what I want to say. I know you have a lot of specialties and you have a long list of items that you want to talk about. I personally wouldn't like it if somebody said to me, this is how I'm going to vote, this is what you're saying, and people have a right to stand up for themselves. I know I would if someone was talking for me. And also talking about the sewers for as long as you've been talking about it, and I'm talking kindly and respectfully, because I do have respect for every one of you. I see the time you put into the work, and I respect that. And I respect each of you for your positions, seriously. And you know I do. But it takes a lot of time, and there's a lot of things on the agenda, which is really terrific, but we have 3 minutes, and thank you. Have a nice evening.
Thanks, Howard.
Thanks, Howard.
Saved by the bell.
Good evening, Michael Hickens, Yorktown resident.
How's Max feeling?
Max is much better, thank you. Yeah, he'll be able to throw again on
Great.
Monday.
All right.
I wanted to talk about the horrific crime that took place earlier this week in Boulder, because it struck particularly close to home, as my daughter lives in Boulder. And we know from our own experience that this isn't an isolated incident.
Mm-hmm.
So I'd like to thank the board, specifically Supervisor Lachterman and Councilman Esposito, for the way you handled the incident of anti-Semitic graffiti that we saw last month. You were front and center and forcefully denounced it, and I appreciate that very much. The other issue I wanted to raise, you may have seen there was a new study on municipal fluoridation that was published in the Journal of American Medical Association that has received a lot of coverage. Among its findings, the results of ceasing municipal fluoridation will lead to a dramatic increase in tooth decay among children and will cost the U.S. $9.8 billion over 5 years. And one of the reasons that the study cites that fluoridation, the lack of fluoridation is a problem, is that while it's true that you can buy mouthwashes that have fluoride, and you can toothpaste that has extra fluoride, et cetera, the surest way to make sure that kids, especially kids, are getting enough fluoride is through the water. And the study found that subsequent increases in dental costs cause disproportionate harms to publicly insured and uninsured children. So in light of this and the fact that the one study that suggested that fluoridation had a negative impact on the IQ of children was not peer-reviewed, covered municipal fluoridation outside the U.S. at levels that are twice the level of fluoridation that we practice here in the United States, I would hope that the board would reconsider the pause in fluoridation of the municipal water in Yorktown. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening, Sarah Wilson, Yorktown Heights. Thank you for the Flag Day proclamation and encouraging our residents to get out there and fly the flag. As you recall, at the last meeting, I was talking about how many examples there are. Unfortunately, it's wonderful we have so many people, so many residents who are displaying the flag, but so many who just, I think, are clueless and just don't realize what they're doing and how they're disrespecting it. You always remind us that we don't need to wait for courtesy of the floor to speak, so I did take the opportunity to send an email before this meeting with some photos that I've just taken around town. They're not great because I'm driving at the same time. So
cover your ears in the back.
Tell the police officer that.
Well, then you're very multi-talented.
We're going to have to ask the Wizard of Oz back there to mute the tape before he uploads it.
And thank you for writing it so that it's blocked.
You suggested that maybe at that meeting last time that maybe the American Legion could put together some guidelines for our residents on how to respectfully display the flag. I know that you often submit content to Halston Media, so maybe it would even be something where Thompson and Bender could work with, the American Legion to just put a little guideline together that could be published in the newspaper, and maybe more people will see it. Won't make it in for June 14th, but it'll come in shortly after that. And then 4th of July is coming up, and there'll be a lot more people displaying the flag. And then Councilman Murphy, you mentioned an event on June 13th at Elks Lodge, and you said you always learn a lot at it, but I went on their website, and I didn't see anything about it, so maybe you could take a few minutes to just better explain to the residents kind of what the event is about. So, you know, we have an idea of what to expect there, and maybe it'll attract more people to attend. And that was it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hello. Good evening, Mark Lieberman.
Hi.
So I appreciate your every year doing a proclamation for Pride Month. And especially this year, it's even more important now that our president has canceled Pride Month. Thank you.
Oh, I think Pride should be every day, but that's okay.
Good evening, Ken Belfer. First of all, I missed the meeting when you voted on the changes to the ADU law, so I had surgery and was in recovery. So I just wanted to take the opportunity today, because I didn't want to miss that meeting, to thank all of you for listening, for the very positive dialogue, I think, that went back and forth between the town board and the housing board, as well as we had dialogue with the zoning board of appeals.
Did you hear the part where we said, "Where's Ken?"
Anyway, thank you for passing that.
And that was low-hanging fruit. Honestly, it was.
You did great.
Guys,
Thank
let
you.
me
you did
finish
well.
on this time, please.
I don't know if any of you announced it, but my brother Vinny's annual fundraising walk is this Sunday from 11 to 2, just off of the base of Lexington Avenue by Route 202. They're a wonderful organization that helps veterans. That same afternoon, the Mohegan Colony Association Beach that I belong to is having an open house at the beach at 3092 High Street from noon to 3 p.m. I think we have a lot of conflicting events that are going on Sunday afternoon.
Yeah.
Also want to share that the Mohegan Lake Improvement District is having our treatment vendor do the first aquatic pesticide treatment for blue-green algae tomorrow morning at 8 a.m. I'm sorry to say, because I wish we didn't have to do it, but blue-green algae is back. And July 12th is our annual Lake Day, and more will be forthcoming about the schedule. We're just finalizing it. It will start with an 8:30 a.m. hike in
okay,
Tall
we'll bring it
Timbers
back.
Park, and I'm directing that to you.
I see it. I'll let my kids come with their garbage bags.
What's the date on that, Ken?
July 12th.
July 12th.
Yes, Saturday, July 12th, rain date Sunday. Last of all, I submitted a wetlands permit amendment, and I would like the opportunity to talk before you pass that resolution tonight, because we may want to hold off on it. I have some questions and concerns about referring it out. But
Okay.
if there's an opportunity.
You don't want to just go with referral, since that was your last item?
Well, it's the way the referral is worded.
Okay.
I mean, I could get into it now, but my
That's
time
okay.
is up.
Yeah, we could change the wording then.
Just cross off what you don't like, and we'll change it, and then pass it so we can refer it out.
We want to refer it out, so your language is better than our language. See, we like the experts.
And Ken, you got 5
You're the
seconds.
expert
How
for
many
the
years?
wetlands.
How many years have you been doing Lake Day
Oh.
at this point?
I don't know. It
Find out for me.
It preceded
Saved by the
me,
bell.
but I've been doing it probably 15 at least.
Find out for me if you can.
Yeah. Okay.
Thanks, Ken.
Anyone else for courtesy of the floor? All right.
Close courtesy.
Yep, motion to close courtesy of the floor.
I'll make that motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All right, so I'll address a few things. Jan, Ron Kamen, the thing that I addressed was we were talking about a law, he was talking about a project, and I questioned that. Everyone does have the right to come up, and I will say that I do agree with you, and I didn't realize Mr. Davis was representing, I sort of forgot, and Diana brought up to me after the point, and you're absolutely right. I know Mr. Davis is in the room, so I hope that anytime he approaches a microphone, he does do that. But sometimes it's up for our people that are talking to say what they represent and what they don't. But you know, as I said with Ron, I did point out, and I'm a member of the Business Council, and I saw the emails coming out. It wasn't about our law, and to me, I had a little bit of an issue with that. It should be about if we're talking about the law, we're talking about the law. If you're talking about a project, that's a different story. Underhill Avenue fire equipment, yes, they've gone through fire review. All of the projects that come in go through a safety review. They get to the fire advisory board. That building, being the size it is, it will have what's called a standpipe. And that with a standpipe, there's specific equipment, control rooms, and other things that the developer is responsible to have for the fire safety, and that is all, of course, checked by our fire department, their replacements on that, and they will make sure of it. It is kind of interesting because it is our first standpipe building in town, so you know, the fire safety committee has been taking a real hard look at it and making suggestions. And I believe, in addition, we met with the Fire Safety Commission and some of the members of planning to talk about specifically making sure that they got ahead of the game on that, and they were in the initial planning when people come in to make sure they could take a hard look there instead of waiting till plans are done and having to make adjustments. Lonnie, you spoke about DEI, and you used a specific word, which is where I believe that E should be for equality. And equity is different than equality. So I can understand where the words have meanings and change the definition. And, I think everyone should be treated equal. And we need to really be on that. But diversity, inclusion, that's what Yorktown has been all about for the 30 years I've lived here. And I'm sure even longer. Do we have individuals that need to be taught? Absolutely. But that's every community, that's everywhere in the world, and we can only work towards that. At least it gives us a goal, and it gives us the opportunity to push forward. Howard, Perry Street in East Main, I think the problem is doing a stop sign as you're coming around the turns, so there are definitely some issues there. It's been looked at. I'm hoping that as we have some other projects come into the area that have been knocking on the door, so to speak. One of the things that I will ask of planning is, and we're looking at this already with 800 East Main Street, is streetscaping, sidewalks. That slows traffic down, and that will go a long way into hopefully making that traffic slow. But people, unfortunately, just once again, people that need to learn, they drive extremely dangerously, arrogantly, rudely. Even today, I was driving up my road, and I don't go over 22, 23 miles an hour, and someone just buzzed around me. And it's a residential street on a hill, and it's crazy. We hope that people will learn and get where they need to, but unfortunately, we can't have a police car at every corner to catch it. But our men and women in blue really do the job. I've been talking to some of them about the ticketing process and what's been happening, and they are really out there. We might not see it, but they are there. Matter of fact, I had someone who was typing a complaint about someone running a stop sign by a school bus, and in her neighborhood, but immediately said, and just so you know, Officer Rohr was doing traffic patrol, pulled the car over and wrote him a ticket. So they take care of that. The right on red for that Route 6 to Conic is there's a site issue with the overpass right there. So there are certain highway laws that will prohibit the right on red, and from a safety point of view. It's the same thing as you come off of Mohansick Avenue. There's a no turn on red there, and the state highway law dictates that. That's actually a state road, as is Route 6. So they will make sure that that happens. Matter of fact, they put the sign up on the pole because someone tore down the sign that was standing at one point. Let's see, Michael Boulder. I'm glad your daughter's okay, and that you know, that's scary. You know, my daughter lives overseas, and every time something happens, you know, your heart misses a beat, and I'm glad on that. And you know, I've stated before that with the fluoridation, that I feel it's extremely important for the EPA to do the homework that was asked of them of the court, and they need to get it done, because if they keep delaying, the issue's not going to be about fluoride per se anymore. It's going to turn into a I don't want to ingest something, I think it's poison, because the belief structure that's being set up as the EPA hasn't gotten to this, you know, from when this ruling came out, is something that's a little troublesome. But I still feel until we have a all clear from our courts, I will keep the pause in place.
I'll do 5 then. I'll do Sarah. I'll take care of Sarah. That's the
Okay,
flags.
well, yep, but I will tell her that I did speak with Sarah. I spoke with both Carl from the American Legion and VFW and Mike Sheridan, and they think it's a great idea. They want to try to get a handout to give out during Memorial Day and any Veterans Day when they're out doing poppies and any of those. So we did do that at this.
Yeah, so the Elks is having their thing on Friday, June 13th, and it's at 10:30 over at Jefferson Village, and it basically has from the beginning of the inception of the flag to today's flag, and it'll have 13 flags up there, and they'll have a little something on each one of the flags. So like I said, every year I learn a little bit more, because I have a small, short-term memory.
It's a very powerful ceremony.
It's very good.
Yeah.
And Sarah, like last week, as basic as it is, you educated a ton of people on what the flag really means at night, with the light, all that stuff that everybody takes it for granted and forgets it, though, but it was very enlightening what you had. So, go ahead, Ed.
All right, Mark, I hadn't heard about the cancellation of Pride Month, but we will keep it active in our town, and that's where we have our control. Any town, government agency, state, federal, they have their decision process and what they want to do, and that is the way things go. Ken, for the ADU law, we are very happy to have been able to get that through. There's a affordability factor that runs with that in housing, and we know that's really important as we find ways to have affordable housing and create things. My brother Vinny Walk, thank you for pointing that out. I will say that I understand there'll be a really cool ice cream bus there doing ice cream, complimentary. And that money, the money that would have been paid for it, is actually being turned into a donation for my brother Vinny. So it's a donated event to them, and they do such great work. I've been working with Paula probably before I was even on the board, and she started with coat drives and things like that, and I think over 2,700 veterans now that she served. It's just absolutely amazing. It's part of what Yorktown is about, and it's something I see commitment and dedication from every member of this board, whether it's current or, Susan was just so very involved in some of the past things that happened. I think it's an important aspect for town board members to really be part of the community and more than just sitting up here. And what a great way to do it with my brother Vinny. So So I'm sure I'll see you and your daughter there on Sunday? Just you? Okay. Oh, okay. All right, well, and thank you for talking about Lake Day. I don't know what my schedule is for the 12th right now, but I'll do my best to get there, even if it's the 8:30 a.m. hike, which I hate. All right. Did anyone else?
I can go just to, so Jana, I agree with you. I think that there needs to be a level of like clarity when we're discussing, and I feel like we all do this, like it's not just those two members. It's like, who are you? What are you representing? What's your name? Great. We always sometimes I think hear even like how long you've been in the town. But then there's to stay on track, if we're talking about a public hearing for X, it probably should be just about the X. I think that we go into the weeds sometimes about like other topics. And I also think that the level of respect just needs to be increased overall. Because I do feel that there's a lot of combating, and I don't even know if we are understanding each other's messages when it does get so adversarial for no reason, besides the fact that someone's trying to make someone else bad, so both ways. I'm just saying it just becomes a kind of a swinging match. Again, I think it comes back to learning how to speak to each other. When it comes to the equipment, I do agree with you. I think that in the beginning, my biggest thing was like about water and hydrants and all of that as well. I come from obviously the city, but when I lived in Thornwood, there were certain developments that the streets were not wide enough for the fire department to go through and whatnot, and it's scary. Like they build them and they're like, oh, there's no hydrant there. Yeah, it's gonna have to go back in. So obviously we have a much better planning board, and I think we've gotten more advanced into bringing these kind of experts in. I mean, Lonnie, you couldn't have said it better. I think the world right now is kind of going back to like what Mark said about like it being canceled. I mean, the president can say what it wants. Truthfully, Pride should be something that gets celebrated every day. It doesn't need to be in a month. I think it's your integrity and how you show up for other people and your consideration. I think that we decide to overpower someone else's energy as opposed to just being able to stand together. Whether it's equity, which I think from how you described it, for me, DEI and however you want to use the E word, this country is made up of so many skills. And we could teach everybody how to put a shovel in the ground and make a better life. I can't teach everyone how to, or no one can teach anyone how to make smart choices, right? We're gonna have to have grace for mistakes and whatnot. But I think there is a way to lean in when someone has too much of something or whatnot to work together. But I also do want to admire the fact that I do believe this country has so many ways to come out from places that are just so hard. And I think it might be just my line of work of what I've seen. And I do think we need to get really clear on how we do talk about all of these LGBTQ plus, and however it is, because it's gotten so much more vast than we as one person, one teacher can learn. And I think having these sort of what Race Amity does or having these conversations will help us all stay in communication. So I really love that. And I obviously always love when you bring in your family. Like I love all that stuff. And Sarah, thanks about the flags, but I also want to just give you a high five. The way you wrote the email, and obviously I'm still digesting all of it about like the smart, from wearing your smart climate hat. Yes, it does say that everyone can bring their stuff, but you didn't write an email based on here are facts and I want to share them with you. And the way you broke them out was you brought your wisdom and your knowledge and your information to us, as opposed to like, you're wrong and here's why, and I think you're wrong again. I know you're never gonna do that, but I think we're all like Lonnie was saying, we want to be the town that does it best so that people can follow. I think the way that you did, I just want to say thank you. And yes, a lot of it I don't understand, and thank God for ChatGPT, where I could be like, what does this word mean as far as energy efficiency? But great, I just want to say thank you for that. And obviously I'll be there for Lake Day. I'll be there for that walk. I was very sad when we took it out last time, but we will be there. And I do think the hike is part of it, because you can't have the birds without the trees, and you can't have the water without the woods, and it makes it all really great. And I do think that your district area, that community, has such a great, like even when we walked off the hike, you have so many neighbors that have all these wildflowers and these monarch butterfly trees, and there's just so much giving back in those few roads around the lake that I think would get missed if we didn't go for a walk, especially if you don't live there. And I just want to thank you for the walk. And that's it.
Just a few things. Jan, let me just add to what Ed and Luciana said about the fire district. Planning board does refer every application out. And in addition to the equipment issues, they look at things like access, the width of a road, whether the trucks can turn around. And actually, there's also an issue with the length of a cul-de-sac. So they look at all of these issues. Howard, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think since I've known you for many, many years, I think you live in an apartment. Okay, so you don't pay sewer tax, all right? Okay, there are 8,100 people, 4,000 in Halleck's Mill, 4,100 in Peekskill, who pay sewer taxes. I know one person, and if you're in Peekskill, one of the Peekskill districts, you pay two taxes. You pay for your local collection system, and then you're part of the Westchester County system. So I know one person who pays about $1,000 for taxes. So these people are very concerned. So I know all of our grand openings for our new stores, all our special events, are all very important to this community, LGBT and everything else that has been talked about, okay? But my focus has always been on these less sexy issues. And sewers, it's not a sexy issue, but if you're living on septic systems, they are an important quality of life issue. And if you're paying $1,000 for your sewer tax, and that's going to change, it could go up, it could go down, that's important. So that's why it's not relevant to you, but it's relevant to a lot of people in Yorktown. So I will continue to talk about that issue. Michael, thank you for bringing up that new study, which I just learned about also today, because I kept seeing something in the news, about it. The point that you made is the most critical point, that it's the dosage that counts. And the studies that the San Francisco court based its decision on was based on a dosage level that's more than twice what is done in Yorktown or the rest of the United States. And it's the dosage that counts. If you remember back, somebody used to say, if the economy's stupid, well, translate that. It's the dosage, and that's what counts. And there's been no evidence that the dosage used in Yorktown, okay, creates any risks, okay? So, plus the fact that the study talked about the cost, and I was flabbergasted when I saw what the potential cost is in just treating dental cavities, because this is something, and somebody, I remember, brought this up at the public hearing, that by banning it in Yorktown, not banning, pardon me, is the wrong word, we're pausing the system, okay? There are going to be families in Yorktown who are going to have increased dental bills. There's 80 years of science that says that. So some people are going to get hurt. So thank you for bringing it up. That's it. Ken, you didn't bring this up, but I just have a question for you. Do you know if Albany has done anything on that Allen bill that you've been pushing?
Actually, I'm sorry, Susan, we can't have.
Yeah, okay.
But it's stuck.
We can't.
One of the things that would help the lake is something that that Ken and his group has been active in trying to get some legislation passed in Albany. I won't go into the details, but I was just curious about the.
And we did send a
and we sent a
out.
support letter for it, and I just hope that maybe Matt and Pete can do something to
push it
move
through.
it along. It's
hope
not
so.
high up on the list for Albany, but it's important for Yorktown.
Well, they actually, Matt tried pushing through a anti-Semitism bill, and that got crushed. So you wonder what people are thinking. But
they're sleeping.
Pat?
No, you answered everything.
Sir?
I have my little input.
Nobody be shocked. I have no comment.
Okay, I'm a little shocked. I'll take it though. Shh. Don't
Make it
retract
easy.
it.
Okay.
Don't retract the
Take it
statement.
easy. If you need help getting out tonight, I'm
All right.
good. Thank you.
Thank you. All right. So we had on here for decision for the Chapter 381.4 entitled Solar Power Generation Systems and Facilities. I did get a comment that we didn't really, this didn't get advised out in advance to our Climate Smart Communities Task Force. They did send a letter. I know we have a meeting coming up. Is it 2 weeks? A week from tomorrow, right. So I would, you know, I'd like to attend that, have some conversation. I would ask the board some leeway that we could pull this right now, and table it.
Makes
and
sense.
Come back.
Makes sense.
Yes, Sarah matters. Sarah, you saw that list.
All right? Everyone's okay with that? All right. So we will not have our decision today on that. I have some resolutions from the Office of the Assessor, authorizing the controller to refund county portion of the firefighter exemption for account number 2984190 for the 2025 town and county tax bill. Reappoint Peter Capek as a member of the Board of Assessment Review from the Office of the Building Inspector. We would like to authorize the supervisor to sign an agreement with Labella Associates for professional consulting plan review services for the Underhill Farm project.
Could you say why they need that additional,
We'll have Dan come up if you're still there listening, Dan.
yeah, it's for the building department, I just want to know what they're
Oh.
gonna do that wouldn't normally be done.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, you're right. I believe some of the plans, especially with the fire safety, are a little more technical, and they wanted to get a second look at that. We do collect the fees for the inspections and overlook, so that might be the some of the standpipe stuff. So Dan, you don't need to come up, Dan. From the Office of the Chief of Police, authorize the controller to process the following budget transfer for motorcycle equipment. This funding is reimbursable from the CREST grant, and that's $12,679 from vehicles to vehicle equipment. From the Office of the Comptroller, authorize the controller to process the following budget transfer for the Highway Department. And that is from general fund balance, the old Crompond Road culvert for equipment, $12,000 for the payments related to the temporary traffic lights. Authorize the supervisor to enter into a one-year renewal agreement with Fifth Asset, Inc., doing business as Debt Book for lease management and analysis service, which is required for our budgets. Authorize the supervisor to re-engage Logically for information technology services to the town of Yorktown for the time period of January 1st, 2025 through December 31st, 2025. That is something we were looking to go to another possible vendor. They were doing some bidding, and Logically is going to stay with us as the best service. And then we will authorize the supervisor to sign agreement with Logically to replace 68 workstations due to the Microsoft Windows upgrade for the cost of $126,422, and authorize the controller to process the budget transfer to cover the cost from general committed fund balance, equipment and software, to purchasing of computer hardware. We were planning for that last year and committed that fund balance. And I will say that we were able to negotiate with Logically and save the town, I believe it was $26,000. Authorize the controller to establish a capital project for streetscape infrastructure, and authorize the following budget transfers to fund the beginning phase of engineering surveying. And the $18,000 will go from committed fund balance streetscape to streetscape infrastructure professional services. And this is Veterans and Downing Drive. And it's something that has been on the books for a while, that I have been working with John Tegeter to get that going. And thank you, John, for your work and getting it where we need to go.
Can we have a little bit information about exactly what is being planned on that streetscape?
Well, this is a survey to get everything in place.
Yeah, but if John has some ideas, I know it's not part of the
He
resolution.
does- we
but
don't-
maybe after we vote on the resolution,
Sure.
if John stays around, if he could just give us an update.
Should
as
have
to-
ran while you could, John. I don't think,
Planning.
and I'll let John come up regardless, but that's why we're doing the surveying and the planning.
Because
There's-
the curbs need it,
there-
I understand
sewer
it's,
needs
it's,
it.
it's basic stuff that's needed to push
Yeah,
this
yeah.
forward, but I'd like to know, I think
So,
the community would
but-
like to know
but
what's
it's-
being planned.
Thank you, but it is stuff that it's needed to actually formulate a plan as well. So it's not just the site work, or like, just making sure everything's on a map. They need this to be able to plot and do all the work, and the experts will look at that, but there is probably an old plan that John could explain what was there, and if we have anything, if that's going to be used. From the office of the engineer, refer out Mohegan Lake, yes.
briefly.
Refer out Mohegan Lake Improvement District Wetlands Permit application.
Yes, received from the Mohegan Lake Improvement District, and can we stop it there and just do the be it further resolved, the town board declares its intent to be lead agency?
Okay, be it further resolved, the town board declares its intent to act as lead agency, and I believe we're gonna have a few changes there. Ken already gave you something?
We
This is how they decided
Yeah,
it.
yep, okay. From the Office of the Highway Superintendent, award a bid for Cummings Engineering OEM parts to Black Rock Truck Group, Inc., who offers a 26.1% discount from list price, which is far and above Deal and Sons and Campbell Freightliner of Orange City LLC. Request that the New York State Department of Transportation conduct a traffic study at the intersection of state routes 202 and 35. And this is, as I said, we do listen, we do try to see what we could do to get things done. And this comes from the asking of Dan Strauss, who contacted the state and got them to at least commit to looking at it, possibly maybe down the road. But it starts with a resolution, and that's what this is. So thank you, Dan, for.
I thought Dan was talking about Veterans Road and Commerce Street.
No, 202 and 35 in front of,
The old Maria's.
right.
The old
the
Chase building.
Yeah,
John-
It's
no,
Verizon Verizon store.
no, he's talking about,
He's
but
from
he's talking
Veterans
about
Road.
Maria's and the,
Pure Salon.
not, well, yeah, Pure
Pure
Salon.
Salon.
And,
That's
and,
That side of,
Yeah.
that
That's
side of
Verizon.
35.
Okay.
I'm drawing a blank on the building name because it's so ugly. The
Roma.
Roma building, thank you. I'm trying to push that building out of my mind. I feel like I'm in a 70s prison movie every time I look at it. So thank you, Dan, for that. From the Office of the Director of the John C. Hart Memorial Library, award the bid and authorize the supervisor to execute a contract with Shadowbox Design Management for the installation of audiovisual equipment at the library in an amount not to exceed $91,335.
Do you know if that's coming from a grant? Because the library has been excellent in terms of soliciting
They
grants.
have been.
Do you know where this money is coming from? Or-
She doesn't.
it was a
She
grant, though.
doesn't
Doesn't
have it.
say.
She doesn't have it in here. Unfortunately, Yvonne left, but I'll find out for you. I forgot if this was.
Yeah, was it in their budget, or is it coming out
Yeah,
of
no.
their
I,
funds, or-
I know they were planning it. Do you remember, Diana, if this was a grant?
Remember, I don't.
Yeah.
Well, we'll find
But-
out.
I
but-
thought this was part
yeah.
of their budget, but I think that they might have tried to get some money from the grants, but we can ask.
Just send her an email.
From the Office of the Superintendent of Parks and Recreation, authorize a bid to be advertised for the installation of new stainless steel coping at the main pool and diving pool, as well as a stainless steel finish replacement at the wading pool of the Brian J. Slavin Aquatics Facility.
Yay.
Authorize the supervisor to execute a contract with McKnight Enterprises LLC for aquatic facility concessions at the Junior Lake Pool. Authorize the supervisor to sign the Westchester Regional Emergency Medical Advisors Committee's Public Access Defibrillation Collaborative Agreement. And I will thank Jim and his team. This is actually something that is supposed to be done every year. It sort of fell through the wayside the last time it was done, which was 2004. So Susan, I'm going to lay this strictly in your lap now. That was, but we in 2004, I guess somewhere the process got lost, and when we were reviewing things, this came up, and we will get a new agreement and make sure that we are 100% compliant with that. From the Office of the Director of Planning, authorize the supervisor to sign agreements for topographic surveys for a total combined expenditure not to exceed $18,000, and that is going to be with TC Merritt, I believe.
Well, the resolutions kind of doesn't say.
One or the other?
For 2 topographic surveys.
Either Gabriel or TC.
And the decisions could be made by the Director of Planning.
Correct.
Oh, okay, thank you.
And this is the description of what they're gonna figure out needs to be done at that Downey.
Well,
Yeah.
it's related to the setting up the capital
Yeah.
fund, but yeah, I just wanted to have more information about
I knew this was here, so I was like, it's there.
what was,
All right, thank you, John. I actually meant to call you earlier on that. Diana and I were talking about that. All right, from the Office of the Receiver of Taxes, authorize the comptroller to refund the following duplicate tax payments for the 2025 town and county taxes as enumerated below. From the Office of the Town Clerk, authorize the supervisor to sign agreement between the town of Yorktown and the South Salem Animal Hospital for the purpose of holding and sheltering of dogs. Authorize the supervisor to sign an agreement between the town of Yorktown and the SPCA of Westchester for the purpose of providing a trap, spray, neuter, vaccinate, and return program.
but could we know the amounts of those contracts?
With the sheltering and the dogs, typically it depends how many dogs that go there. We only really have 5 to 6 dogs a year, so it's very minimal for us. It's about $65 per night, which
Per night, per dog?
per dog, yes.
Do we have any idea in the past what we had spent, how many nights a dog is there?
We only get them, 5 to 6 dogs a year, but we typically try to make sure that we find the owners ahead of time. So we really don't send them that often, but under the law, we have to have a place to send them.
It's a couple $100.
What
It's not
happens
much.
if there's no owner, if there's no tag, then the dog just stays there?
Well, I will tell you, last week I spent the whole day with a dog that almost got hit on 6 N, and we found the owner who lived in Putnam Valley. So we do what we have to do to make sure we find their owners before we send them anywhere.
And I actually I was going to mention that, which I highly appreciate the dedication that you guys had, although I think that Maura wanted to keep the dog.
If we didn't find the owner, he had a lot of people that
Right.
wanted him.
And I'm grateful that you found
and-
contracts because most people aren't even doing this anymore.
And
No, hold on, before she gets to that, I also want to say that in the past, we have paid thousands of dollars for this service because we were tied into a annual contractual agreement. It did not matter if we had 1 dog or 1,000 dogs. And Diana did, through her due diligence, found a per diem type of experience and billing, and
Yeah, in
that
the
is-
past, they've charged us up to $25,000 and change, and we only had really 5 to 6 dogs going. So rather than do that, we look for a veterinarian place to take our dogs to, where they're taken very good care of.
Thank you. I just wanted to know what the cost is. And what about the cost on the second program, the trap and neuter?
That comes out of the budget. There's a line in the budget for
line for the
feral
cat.
cats. That normally is about $2,000 to $2,500 a year. That all is based on, we work with volunteers who trap and take them to the SPCA, and they charge us a nominal fee to spay them and return them. Mhm.
Yeah, we celebrated them.
And once again, if there's a heavy cat population, we may pay more in 1 year, but that'll help offset the next year.
We try to do
if
at
they
least
trap a lot.
two a week to a month in there, depending on what she can catch. But that's very important in keeping your feral cat population down.
It's an important program, yeah. Thank
All
you.
right, so may I have a motion?
Motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Before you do an adjournment, I have a question on the, this is an amended agenda. Can you tell me why the setting of the public hearing for the Halleck's Mill bond issue was taken off the agenda?
Because there were,
When we had two different figures on there, my discussion with the comptroller and the engineer, we felt that it was premature and that we needed to finalize some figures ahead of time, so it was removed.
Will that be on for next week?
I can't guarantee that, but like we
That's the
said,
goal.
we have to have a discussion on it.
Thank you.
Yep. All right. So, John, did you have anything to add to the streetscape conversation? Why don't you come up and just sit, see if any of Susan's questions can be answered now? Or
Well, it's not just me. I think this is a community issue, and the community has been
We did a whole
waiting for
video
this
on this.
for.
What are you
I
looking?
understand that.
What in terms of the design? Where we're going?
Not the final
Oh.
design, because the final.
No, not the final design.
But in general.
The starting point in general is the same scheme that you see along Commerce Street. So we're going to continue that. Same types of light fixtures, same type of design of street furniture to where we'll use it. I don't think we'll use as much over there, but so it's going to be the same vocabulary.
Just maybe
Any
not
possible
broken curbs.
sidewalks on Veterans?
Excuse me?
Any possible sidewalks along Veterans Road?
Well, we not on the north end. This not part of what we're doing. We're doing the portion of Veterans between Commerce and Downing.
Oh,
and we're doing
that's all.
Downing.
Okay. All right.
John, didn't we have a grant years ago for this?
Yes. We had grants for both.
Well, Richard, what happens to them?
Excuse me. We had a grant for Veterans. We had a grant for the other leg of Commerce Street.
Whatever happened? That was actually before my time on the board, I think.
They never were executed for various reasons. I think they were more or less canceled.
So
I've
someone
been talking
snoozed?
I
about.
thought we
Ed-
received money for it. I thought we did receive money
We
for it.
we didn't actually receive dollars for it, but we had approval for the two grants. The Commerce Street leg was actually being worked on by the county in terms of the design at the time, and they were canceled at that time.
Was that under CDBG?
We had money allocated.
That was CDBG money, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, that's right. We had money allocated for it.
Yeah, it was
I think
about,
we had to use
total was about, I think, that we were getting about $400,000 to $500,000.
All right, so we know not to snooze, because if we snooze, we lose.
Yes. All right.
But we did receive the CBDG. What was it? again?
CDBG.
I had a stand
You're
in
thinking
there.
of the
CBG.
club
Look
in
at
New
the
York.
curve.
CBGB,
I remember
yeah.
CBGB.
Great club.
And it doesn't look better today. We gotta
CBG
fix
is
it.
cool,
All right.
We did receive, I believe we
And
did
the
receive money,
potholes.
but we reallocated it,
No.
and then.
We did not
they never
reallocate it.
got it.
No,
We
we
did not
were
reallocate it.
we
We-
were going. It was one of the possible. It was it was actually under Matt. It was one of the possible expenditures of the ARPA
The
money
county reallocated the money to other municipalities
with the county money.
after
but-
we
right after we
decided not to
said
go
no.
forward. Yes.
And then the ARPA money, though, we were going to do something, but some other things were more important, infrastructure-wise.
I'm talking about the ARPA.
Right. So we decided to
That's what I
do that, and then last year we put money aside to complete the streetscape project out of fund balance.
See what happens when you go to
Do you have-
CBGBs too much?
This
I
may
know.
be a premature question, but do you have a very rough ballpark cost figure that you're looking at?
I don't want to throw a number out, but it's going to be more obviously than when we were in 2010,
Yeah.
2011. So at the time, I think we were expecting to spend on Commerce Street about $600 and something thousand. So Commerce Street is probably, that length is probably similar to Downing. So I would expect that it will be easily more than that. So.
Okay.
So, and one of the reasons to split out these surveys is to have a short conversation about, I think we should get the surveys, but
What's urgent?
yes, but how we move forward between the two projects. It may
phases.
be two phases, Veterans and Downing,
Yeah.
depending on the amount of money that we're going to look at. That will come through when we hire the design landscape architects.
And also,
engineers.
in terms of the design, and tuck this away for future reference, there was always talk about, because Downing is exceedingly wide, to have a bike lane, so people coming off the North County Trail could then come on the bike lane and then go across the Mohansick Trailway.
They can't
into
even teach the
FDR.
cars to stay on the real road, never mind the bike lane.
I have a sketch of that goes back probably 25 years,
Yeah.
so yes, I hope to do that.
Okay, thank you.
You need to put bumpers, though, because
Did we do a motion to adjourn?
Like in the city when they have those like
Oh,
columns?
I interrupted,
Focus.
sorry about
Motion to
that.
adjourn?
Oh, okay. I have to.
What, second?
Second.
All in favor? Aye.
Good night, Yorktown.
Good night, Yorktown. Thank you all.
People right on the shoulder.